Chapter 2454. It's fine. Other than Gorilla Kuei, those gorillas are mindlessly absorbing dark resources to increase their strength. They don't have time to care about us. Moreover, the Soul Goblin clan's treasury has a natural array. They won't notice if we cause any commotion. Night Sorrow, who knew that nothing would happen, nodded at Jing Yun, indicating that she could begin immediately. The 1,000 catty demon subduing spear had evolved in the endless bone realm. It had not undergone any lightning tribulation, so its power was limited. It could deal with a lower high god, but it would be a little difficult to deal with an intermediate high god. As for an upper high god, it could not deal with them at all. Night Sorrow was looking forward to seeing that Jing Yun had discovered a divine weapon refined by the Phoenix clan. He secretly hoped that it would be of a higher grade. Then I'll begin. It should be very powerful. After glancing at Night Sorrow, Jing Yun cut the tip of her finger and poured a drop of sparkling and translucent phoenix blood onto the pitch-black spear. The phoenix blood dripped onto the surface of the spear and was quickly absorbed. However, it did not react at all. This spear doesn't seem simple. It's normal that my drop of phoenix blood can't completely revive it, but it's not responding at all. This means that it's of a very high grade. Jing Yun's face lit up as she continued to pour the phoenix blood onto the spear. 2 drops. 3 drops. After a total of 10 drops, the black spear let out a loud phoenix cry. In an instant, the dusty black spear bloomed with dazzling red flames. The blazing flames were like a phoenix flapping its wings, as if it could burn all evil in the world. It gave people a feeling of great power. Good spear. I'll call you the blazing spear for now. Night Sorrow praised sincerely as he took the blazing spear. Then, he held the spear and began to practice his spear art. For a moment, the treasury was filled with roars. This blazing spear is very handy. It should be a high god-level forbidden artifact. I can't use its forbidden power, but it's perfect for fighting in the dark dimension. With it, I can kill an ordinary lower high god with just one shot. After putting away the raging flame spear, Night Sorrow used his dark aura to turn the red flames into black, concealing the aura of his body. There shouldn't be any problems, right? Jing Yun was still worried that the raging flame spear would be exposed. It's fine, don't worry. The most important thing for us now is to increase our strength as quickly as possible. Night Sorrow comforted him and said solemnly, I plan to use Ao Qingwu's matter to head straight to the 1,000 Cavern Mountain. Whether our mission is successful or not will soon be decided. All right. I'll do my best to absorb the Genesis essence to strengthen my body. Jing Yun nodded with a serious expression. She didn't expect Night Sorrow to be so decisive and seize the opportunity as soon as it appeared. Originally, she thought that Night Sorrow would take it one step at a time and gain a firm foothold in the gorilla clan. After using the resources to become stronger, he would wait for an opportunity to complete the mission. All right, increase your strength as soon as possible. I still have things to do. After instructing Jing Yun, Night Sorrow summoned the leader of the Spirit Devourer clan, Devouring Sacrifice, and directly destroyed it and absorbed all the power of virtue it produced. After absorbing Devouring Sacrifice's power of virtue, Night Sorrow's power of virtue suddenly increased by a lot. He was about 60% away from the upper feather god level. In other words, by devouring this mid-level high god, his merit power had increased by 40% compared to when he was a mid-level feather god. It seems that as long as I find a way to kill more dark creatures, my power of virtue will soon reach the peak of the feather god level, which is the half-step high god level. In the endless bone realm and the dark domain, the laws of heaven and earth were not complete, so it was impossible to pass the tribulation. Night Sorrow could only cultivate his power of virtue to the half-step high god level, which he felt a little regretful about. He thought that if he could break through to the merit high god level, he might be able to escape from the attack of a divine lord, or even slightly resist a divine lord. However, the sun waxes and wanes, the moon waxes and wanes. In the southeast, the sky is high, and the earth is not perfect. There is no such thing as perfection in the world. Soon, Night Sorrow felt relieved. He felt that if his power of virtue increased too quickly, other aspects would not be able to keep up. This was detrimental to his state of mind. Leader! Leader! Enemies are attacking. At this moment, Yen Kuei's voice suddenly sounded. Jing Yun, enemies are attacking. Take Ao Qingwu and stay by my side. She is very important to us. Don't let her be taken away. Without knowing what the enemy was, Knight Sorrow took Jing Yun by his side and walked out of the Spirit Devourer clan's treasury. Yen Kuei, I heard that you were defeated by the Feather God level clansman and lost your position as leader. What a joke. The moment Knight Sorrow walked out of the treasury, a cold voice was insulting Yen Kuei. This was an extremely large demon. Its green body was surrounded by a black aura, giving off an extremely evil feeling. It was the leader of the Azure Demons, Qing Emperor. Its strength was at the upper Greater Celestial level, and there were 2 middle Greater Celestial level Azure Demons on its left and right. Behind the 3 powerhouses were 70 to 80 lower Greater Celestial level dark creatures. There were Azure Demons and other races. One of them was from the nefarious demon tribe. Knight Sorrow had some impression of it. He knew that it was the nefarious demon tribe that had told the Azure Demons about Ao Qinggu. If you were killed by the Feather God level Yen Kuei, wouldn't that be the biggest joke in the world? Knight Sorrow retorted on behalf of Yen Kuei. He said disdainfully, "Tell me your name." "I, Yen Kuei, don't kill nameless people." "You are Yen Kuei, the new leader of the Yen Kuei clan?" Qing Emperor shifted his gaze from Yen Kuei to Knight Sorrow and roared arrogantly, "The leader who will kill you in the Yen Kuei clan today is Qing Emperor." Roar. "You deserve to die. Leader, allow us to fight to the death." The leader of the Azure Demons, Qing Emperor, said that he would kill the Yen Kuei clan, which immediately angered the Yen Kuei clan. They had just absorbed a lot of dark resources and their strength had increased. They were not afraid of fighting at all. "What? You're Qing Emperor? You think you're worthy of being called Qing Emperor? Go to hell. Your fate is to be nourishment." The Azure Demon's name was Qing Emperor, which was the opposite of Knight Sorrow's master. This enraged him. He took the blazing spear from his back and stabbed it at the Azure Demon. Before the tip of the spear arrived, the Azure Demon was engulfed in black flames. This spear is interesting. It should be from a cultivator. However, you can't unleash its true power when you use it. Facing Yi Shang's spear, the leader of the Azure Demons, the Azure Emperor, ferociously slapped out with his huge palm, extinguishing the flames. He then met the blazing spear head-on. He thought that the spear's power was only at the level of a lesser great god, so he didn't think too much of it. A greater great god's body refinement strength is indeed strong, but you underestimate me too much. The Azure Demon leader named Qing Emperor carelessly grabbed the blazing spear's tip. Chapter 2455. The 7-star Berserk Fecta was the third layer of the 7-star Berserk technique. It could instantly increase one's strength by 3 times, and the backlash was much smaller than that of the 7th layer. This was a secret technique that Knight Sorrow hadn't used in a long time. When these techniques were used together and the soul-rending evil vanquishing spear was used, the ambush was a complete success. The Qing Emperor, who had obviously underestimated his opponent, had one of his arms blown off. "Ah! You deserve to die!" The Qing Emperor, who had originally thought that he could kill Knight Sorrow, lost one of his arms in a single exchange. He was instantly enraged. He used a secret technique of the Azure Fiend race to increase his strength by several times, and he furiously fought with Knight Sorrow. While they were fighting, the people of the 2 clans were constantly shouting, hoping that their leaders would win. The Qing Emperor, who had the strength of a high god, quickly gained the upper hand after using a secret technique to increase his strength. He suppressed Knight Sorrow and forced him to retreat. This caused Jing Yun and the warriors of the gorilla race to worry. Jing Yun clenched her fists tightly. Hee. That's the effect I wanted. However, Knight Sorrow's expression was relaxed. That was because he had done it on purpose. Dark creatures were extremely fierce and fearless in battle, but they were also very stupid. He purposely showed weakness and waited for the next opportunity. Knight Sorrow, who was being suppressed, continued to flee, but he didn't suffer any losses. During this process, he felt the backlash from the 7-star Berserk Fecta. He immediately pulled out a pill from a bottle on his belt and swallowed it. Very quickly, the discomfort caused by the backlash was cured. It's really useful. It seems that I can try to use the 7-star Berserk Light Shaking Art. The pill that Knight Sorrow had consumed was called the Soul Recovery Pill. It could instantly restore a cultivator's soul and body. He had found a total of 7 pills. Knight Sorrow was full of confidence. On the other side, The Azure Fiend named Qing Emperor was becoming more and more agitated. It seemed to have the upper hand, but it couldn't touch its opponent at all. Every time it attacked, it felt like it was hitting cotton. This feeling was extremely uncomfortable. "Do you dare fight me head-on?" Qing Emperor yelled angrily as his attacks missed. "Good. Then let's fight head-on. You only have one arm left. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Qing Emperor's shattered arm was still being burned by the flames and didn't immediately heal. Knight Sorrow howled and unleashed the 7-star Berserk Light-Shaking Art, instantly increasing his strength by 7 times. He controlled the Raging Flame Spear and shot out the Forbidden Spear, fusing 10 spears into one. At the crucial moment, Knight Sorrow still chose to believe in his own spear art, and not Mo Yoqian's soul-splitting evil executing spear. Boom! This time, Qing Emperor, who had chosen to fight Knight Sorrow, had obviously underestimated Knight Sorrow's strength. Unexpectedly, he was several times stronger than before. His other arm was also smashed into pieces. Qing Emperor, who had lost both his arms, was no match for Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow, who had swallowed 2 soul recovery elixirs in a row, suppressed it in a frenzy. In the end, he broke all 4 limbs of the Qing Emperor. He unleashed his dark aura and used his soul power to control the Qing Emperor. The arrogant Qing Emperor didn't expect to be defeated at all, and he didn't expect Knight Sorrow to use soul control on him, because the difference in their cultivation levels was too great. Logically speaking, the difference in soul power should be too great. However, he soon discovered that he was wrong, very wrong. Knight Sorrow had the Tao Comprehension Wine, which provided him with surging soul power. The name Qing Emperor isn't something trash like you can have. Today you will die without a doubt. But before that, I will change your name. From now on, you will be called Qing Gue, because you will soon become a corpse. After successfully controlling the Qing Emperor, Knight Sorrow said coldly, then looked at the other Qing demons. He ordered, "Warriors of the Gorilla Clan, attack. After that, we will attack their treasury." Among the Qing demons experts, there were 2 mid-level high gods and 70 to 80 low-level high gods. However, on Knight Sorrow's side, there was not only him, but also Qing Gue, who was under his control, and Gorilla Kue. After the battle began, Knight Sorrow was like a tiger in a flock of sheep. He almost crippled one with each spear strike. Soon, the Gorilla Clan completely gained the upper hand. This time, try to leave no one alive. I want to devour them one by one. Knight Sorrow yelled evilly. How could the remaining 20 or so warriors of the Gorilla Clan not obey? When the battle ended, a total of 31 high gods, including the 2 mid-level high gods, were captured. Go to the Qing demons and destroy them all. Then, come back here and wait for me. Knight Sorrow, who had no mercy for the Qing demons, brought all 31 high gods into the Soul Goblin clan's treasury. He killed them one by one and turned them all into power of virtue. After absorbing their power of virtue, Knight Sorrow's power of virtue was successfully promoted to the high god feather god level. It seems that using virtue to prove one's Tao is the path I should take in the future. Although his power of virtue increased very quickly, Knight Sorrow did not have any inner demons in his heart. In fact, he felt very good. He had a clearer view of the future. Moreover, he had another idea about the trip to the 1,000 Cavern Mountain. This was the change brought to him by the great increase in his strength. However, Knight Sorrow had absorbed too much power of virtue. The holy aura around him was too strong, and the dark aura could not be suppressed. Jing Yun, the holy aura on me is too strong. If I go out now, I will definitely be discovered. I need to go into seclusion for a while. Take Ao Qingwu with you and stay with me in the treasury. Worried about Jing Yun and Ao Qingwu's safety, Knight Sorrow let them stay in the treasury. He tried his best to absorb the dark aura, hoping to suppress the holy aura around him as soon as possible. This sounded simple, but it was actually very time-consuming. In the end, Knight Sorrow used 30 years to barely suppress the holy aura around him. What made him and Jing Yun feel strange was that after so many years, Ao Qingwu's body had completely recovered, and her vitality was very strong. However, she still did not wake up. There should be a big problem with her soul. I think that she might have destroyed her soul. This body is now just an empty shell. Looking at Ao Qingwu's sleeping appearance, Jing Yun said with an ugly expression. She had been in the god realm for much longer than Knight Sorrow and had seen more. It seems that her soul was really tortured, so she chose to free herself. I wonder if she can be saved in this situation? Knight Sorrow asked with a frown. As the feather god of virtue, he had the feeling of being compassionate. It should be possible to treat her, but I don't know how. Jing Yun said helplessly. Sigh. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. If we can successfully complete the mission and escape from the dark domain, we can talk about this. After pondering for a while, Knight Sorrow shook his head. Because he had absorbed too much power of virtue and wasted 30 years, he did not want to waste any more time to avoid any more problems. Jing Yun, we will soon enter the 1,000 Cave Mountain. Are you afraid? Before walking out of the treasury, Knight Sorrow looked at Jing Yun with a smile. Of course I'm afraid, but for High Bay City, I still have to go. Jing Yun nodded seriously. Knight Sorrow shook his head and said, No, you have done enough. Leave the rest to me. Give me the divine talisman. Also, take Ao Qinggu with you. Entering the 1,000 Cave Mountain was very dangerous. There were not only divine sovereigns, but also many half-step divine sovereigns. Knight Sorrow could not even guarantee his own safety, so he did not want to take Jing Yun with him. If I take Ao Qinggu with me, you have no reason to go to the 1,000 Cave Mountain. I can't go. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Jing Yun understood that Knight Sorrow was afraid that she and Ao Qinggu would be in danger, so he changed his plan. No, my strength is the reason. You have to believe that I have a way. Chapter 2456. All right, this might be the best choice. After pondering for a while, Jing Yun slowly nodded in agreement. She took out the divine talisman and handed it to Knight Sorrow. Originally, she felt that her strength was about the same as Knight Sorrow's, but after entering the dark domain, she realized that the difference between their actual combat strength was like heaven and earth. If she fought with her life on the line, she might be able to defeat a high-level high god dark creature, but she would have to pay a heavy price. Knight Sorrow, on the other hand, defeated a high-level high god with the help of pills. Moreover, he did not use the power of virtue. If he used it, there were not many dark creatures in the dark domain that could suppress him. If she forced herself to stay, she might become a burden. Don't worry, I will definitely turn the dark domain upside down. Now, there are not many in the dark domain that can suppress me. Knight Sorrow's deep eyes were filled with determination. This was the confidence brought to him by his increase in strength. Then, he brought Jing Yun, Ao Qinggu, and the remaining 20 high gods of the gorilla race back to the gorilla race's territory. When they arrived at the gorilla race's territory, Knight Sorrow asked Yen Kuei to contact the important figures of the 1,000 Cave Mountain and tell them about Ao Qinggu, hoping to get a chance to go to the 1,000 Cave Mountain. But after confirming that Ao Qinggu was captured, Divine Lord An Hun chose to send an envoy to the gorilla race's territory, not giving the gorilla race a chance at all. The envoy was a half-step Divine Lord Dark Demon. Knight Sorrow was surprised to see this. He thought to himself, there aren't many half-step Divine Lord Dark creatures in the entire dark domain. They actually sent one just to pick up Ao Qinggu, who has already been captured. Could it be that Ao Qinggu has a secret that we don't know about? Or does she have a special value to the 1,000 Cave Mountain? No matter what, let's send them out of the dark domain first. At this time, Jing Yun, who was with Ao Qinggu, had not left. Knight Sorrow gave an order to send the gorilla race's warriors away, and send them back to the giant pit through the passage. With Jing Yun's strength, it was not difficult to deal with the gorillas in the giant pit. He was not worried at all, so he did not accompany them out. After that, Knight Sorrow asked Yen Kuei to open the gorilla clan's treasury and search for useful resources. He wanted to increase his strength as much as possible so that he could kill the emissary sent by Sir God An Hun and snatch his Sir God token. The Divine Lord token was a token issued by Divine Lord Dark Soul. With a Divine Lord token in hand, one would not be attacked when passing through the Dark Race's territory. If he succeeded, Knight Sorrow would be able to pass through the territories of many Dark Races and reach the 1,000 Cavern Mountain without shedding a single drop of blood. The 1,000 Cave Mountain was very big. As long as Knight Sorrow could reach it safely, he would have a chance to seal the Dark Demon Divine Lord. He was an invincible Divine Lord of the Dark Domain. If he was freed from the seal, it would be a fatal blow to High Bay City. As for the Divine Lord Order, The only thing that Knight Sorrow wasn't sure about was whether Sir Godan Hun would discover him if he killed the half-step Divine Lord Dark Demon or controlled him. Forget it. There's no other choice anyway. We can only do our best and leave the rest to fate. After sending off Jing Yun and Ao Qinggu, Knight Sorrow no longer had any worries. He decided on a strategy and began to search for useful resources in the Gorilla Clan's treasury. The Gorilla Clan's treasury had obviously existed for a longer time than the Spirit Devourer Clan's treasury, so there were relatively more resources. However, most of them were darkness resources and various divine artifacts. At present, Knight Sorrow didn't have much use for them. He only had a few bottles of pills that had yet to lose their effects. To him, the most useful thing was still the Spirit Recovery Pill. He found 6 pills this time, and with the remaining 4, he had a total of 10 pills. It was enough to support him to use the 7-star Berserk Light Shaking Art 5 times. Next was the Genesis Essence. Knight Sorrow's body and the 1,000-kilogram demon subduing spear had both absorbed the Genesis Essence. However, the Raging Flame Spear that had just been unsealed by Jing Yun clearly hadn't been strengthened by the Genesis Essence. Knight Sorrow poured the 17 drops of Genesis Essence he found onto the Raging Flame Spear, allowing it to freely absorb them. The speed at which a divine artifact absorbed the Genesis Essence was clearly much faster than a cultivator. Very soon, the Raging Flame Spear in the Gorilla Clan's treasury released a resonant phoenix cry. Not only did the spear body become more solid, the flames on the spear body also became more dazzling. The Raging Flame Spear was originally a high god-level taboo divine artifact. Now that it has been strengthened by the Genesis Essence, it's already infinitely close to the Divine Lord level. It should be enough to fight against the half-step Divine Lord Dark Demon Envoy. After using the Raging Flame Spear to perform a set of spear arts, Knight Sorrow was certain that this was the strongest divine weapon he could use. After obtaining the pills for battle and completing the strengthening of the Raging Flame Spear, Knight Sorrow set his sights on the Azure Phoenix battle armor that Jing Yun had given him. The current Blue Phoenix battle armor could withstand the attacks of a lower high god without the use of divine Yuan Qi. If this were in Seaside City, it would definitely be a heaven-defying divine artifact. But in front of a half-step Divine Lord Realm Dark Demon Emissary, it was clearly nothing. There were still a few months until the Dark Demon Envoy arrived. On this day, Knight Sorrow ordered Yen Kuei to gather all the High God warriors of the Gorilla Clan. Standing in front of the leader's throne, he ordered, "After the nefarious Demon Clan lost to us, they sent someone to inform the Azure Demon Clan. If not for my strength, the entire Gorilla Clan would have been annihilated. Today, we will exterminate the nefarious Demon Clan. Moreover, we will attack their treasury. We obey the leader's orders. Exterminate the nefarious Demon Clan." More than 20 gorillas, including Yen Kuei, erupted with powerful auras. Their overall strength had increased by a lot because they had absorbed a large amount of darkness resources. 2 of them had reached the middle high god realm. They worshipped Knight Sorrow so much that they would fight to the death for him. "Let's go. With Yen Kuei leading the way, we will exterminate the entire nefarious Demon Clan." Under Knight Sorrow's command, the group of 20 gorillas headed straight for the nefarious Demon Clan's lair. The nefarious Demon Clan and the Gorilla Clan were very close to the Soul Devourer Clan. Therefore, the distance between the 2 clans was not far. In less than a day, Knight Sorrow led the Gorilla Clan warriors to the barren mountain where the nefarious Demon Clan resided. Kill. Knight Sorrow did not have the slightest bit of pity for the dark creatures because they did not have a heart of compassion. They only knew how to kill and would not show any mercy to any life. Under his command, Yen Kuei and the other gorillas immediately entered battle mode. "I knew that your Gorilla Clan would come. This time, you will all be annihilated." At this moment, the leader of the nefarious Demon Clan, Xie Kuen, appeared on the peak of the barren mountain. After roaring, he pointed at Knight Sorrow and said in a bloodthirsty voice, "Yen Kuei, you think you are invincible, but you don't know that I have already made preparations. I have already joined forces with Overlord Moci. The leader of the Dark Demon Ape Clan, Moci? If you are joining forces, why don't you attack the Gorilla Clan's territory directly?" Knight Sorrow asked in confusion. After reading Yen Kuei's memories, he knew about the Dark Demon Ape Clan. They were very similar to the gorillas and there was an inexplicable connection between the 2 clans. However, they were very powerful and had never placed the Gorilla Clan in their eyes. The leader of the Dark Demon Ape Clan, Moci, was infinitely close to a half-step Divine Lord. He was the strongest clan leader in the surrounding 1,000,000 miles. With the Dark Demon Ape Clan's strength and the Nefarious Demon Clan, they could completely crush the Gorilla Clan. Chapter 2457. There's nothing strange about that. Our ancestors left a rule that the Dark Demon Apes are never allowed to step into the territory of the Gorilla tribe. Otherwise, the entire tribe will be annihilated. The leader of the Dark Demon Apes, MOCI, smiled coldly. But since you're here, I won't be going against the rules. It seems that your ancestors had foresight and knew that you'd be annihilated if you angered the Gorilla tribe. You should have listened to them. Knight Sorrow was stunned for a moment before he shook his head. He thought that there was something fishy about this. But now, it seemed that the ancestors of the Dark Demon Apes had some divination ability, and knew that the Dark Demon Apes would be annihilated. You want to annihilate the Dark Demon Apes with just 20 low-level high gods? What a joke. Warriors, kill them. The leader of the Dark Demon Apes, MOCI, mocked and gave the order. Kill. After receiving the order, the Dark Demon Apes and Nefarious Devils, as well as 100 high gods, charged towards the gorillas. They obviously had the advantage in numbers. Gorilla tribe. Follow me and kill them all. Knight Sorrow didn't panic at all in the face of the powerful enemies. He took the blazing spear and 1,000 catty demons subduing spear from his back and charged at the front of the group. Like a tiger in a flock of sheep, he led the high gods of the gorilla tribe to kill. In the blink of an eye, he killed several opponents. It seems that you have some skills, but your opponent is me. Although Knight Sorrow's strength wasn't high, his battle prowess was clearly outstanding. He had continuously caused the Dark Demon Ape and Evil Demon to lose their battle prowess. The leader of the Dark Demon Ape Clan, MOCI, saw that the situation wasn't right and immediately charged aggressively at Xiaofan. He was infinitely close to a half-step Divine Lord and wasn't easy to deal with. Knight Sorrow used Essence Chi Smoke and Star's Tyrant Body to fight him. He also put the 1,000 catty demon subduing spear on his back and used the blazing spear to fight. The strengthened Raging Flame Spear kept spewing out black flames during the battle, which made Magic Thorn, who was an expert in close combat, very angry. It fiercely swung the Warhammer in its hand, but it couldn't touch Knight Sorrow. Roar! I'm going to crush your bones. Coward. If you continue to fight like this, the Gorilla Clan will definitely be wiped out. After attacking dozens of times in a row, it still couldn't touch Knight Sorrow. Moreover, it was being burned to the point that it couldn't bear it any longer. The Devil Thorn was so angry that it kept roaring. At this time, without Knight Sorrow's help, the gorillas were indeed in a passive position. 4 lesser high gods were killed one after another. The Gorilla Clan might be completely annihilated. However, the Dark Demonic Ape and the Nefarious Devil race will definitely take the lead. Seeing that the gorillas were at a complete disadvantage, Knight Sorrow diverted some of his attention to attack some of the high gods of the two races while holding back the Devil Thorn. Almost every strike of his spear took away a high god's fighting strength. With Knight Sorrow's continuous success, the Gorilla Clan quickly stabilized the situation. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, the leader of the Nefarious Devil race, Xiaofan, who had been defeated by Knight Sorrow, got rid of a medium-high god of the Gorilla Clan and cooperated with the Devil Thorn to attack Knight Sorrow. With its help, the Devil Thorn quickly stopped Knight Sorrow's momentum. However, it was only stopping. The two of them didn't have much of an advantage against Knight Sorrow. Especially Xiaofan, who almost had his head pierced by the spear. How did its strength increase so quickly? This spear is a little strange. Although Xiaofan lost to Knight Sorrow the last time, the difference between the two of them wasn't that big. Now, it found that it was very difficult to resist Knight Sorrow's casual attack. It couldn't help but panic. If it wasn't for the divine weapon in your hand, you would have been torn to shreds. The Devil Thorn's strength was extremely strong, but it also felt that the flame spear was very difficult to deal with. Divine weapons are also part of one's strength. Knight Sorrow, who was testing the might of the flame spear, retorted. His spear technique was quite impressive, which was why he could control the flame spear. At this moment, the demon gorilla race's high god was gradually unable to hold on. They were beaten up by the group, and several of them were killed in succession. Including Gorilla Kue, there were only 12 of them left. Knight Sorrow, who was observing the situation, thought that since he had confirmed the might of the flame spear, It was time to use it. He directly used the 7-star Berserk Light Shaking Art, instantly increasing his strength by 7 times. Knight Sorrow, who was originally able to hold his own against his opponent, had his strength increased by 7 times. The battle clearly took a turn for the better. Xiaofan's body was instantly smashed to pieces by the spear, and only his head was left rolling on the ground. It's really hard to control the speed of his strength. This guy only has his head left. Can he still open the Demon Gorilla Race's treasury? Knight Sorrow felt a little awkward after almost killing Xiaofan. He had come here today mainly for the Demon Gorilla Race's treasury to find some materials to upgrade the Azure Phoenix battle armor. How can a mid-tier Demon Gorilla Race leader unleash such a powerful attack? This is impossible. Absolutely impossible. After witnessing Knight Sorrow's strength with his own eyes, Devil Thorn immediately felt that something was wrong. As a dark demon ape, he had a good understanding of the Demon Gorilla Race. He knew that it was impossible for such a heaven-defying person to appear in the Demon Gorilla Race. In fact, not only the Demon Gorilla Race, but all the dark races did not have a genius who could fight across so many levels. You are a God Realm cultivator. We were actually deceived by you for so long. Thinking of this, Devil Thorn immediately took out a sound transmission stone unique to the dark races and prepared to inform the 1,000 Cavern Mountain that Knight Sorrow was a God Realm cultivator. You are the God Realm cultivator. You can't win, so you want to frame your opponent. So your dark demon ape race is this despicable. Take my forbidden spear. Devil Thorn's voice was very loud, and many of the dark creatures present heard it clearly. Knight Sorrow, who did not want to be exposed for the time being, found a random excuse and used the flame spear to fire the forbidden spear. With the support of Essence Chi Smoke, Star's hegemonic body, and 7 Stars Berserk, this spear instantly shattered half of Devil Thorn's body. Knight Sorrow then continued to attack, making Devil Thorn suffer the same fate as Xiaofan. His body was completely destroyed, and only a large head was left. As long as I go all out, defeating dark creatures below the half-step Divine Lord level is not difficult. After defeating Devil Thorn, Knight Sorrow had a deeper understanding of his own strength. However, he was not sure if he could defeat a true half-step Divine Lord, because the gap between the two had reached a critical point. Exterminate the Dark Demon Ape race and the Nefarious Demon race. After defeating the leaders of the two races, Knight Sorrow immediately joined the battle. The Demon Gorilla Race's High God did not doubt Devil Thorn's words. After Knight Sorrow joined the battle immediately became one-sided. None of the Demon Gorilla Race fell. None of the High Gods of the other two races escaped, and almost all of them were killed. After taking complete control of the situation, Knight Sorrow controlled Xiaofan to open the treasury of the Nefarious Demon Race. After plundering everything, he smashed Xiaofan to death with a single punch, turning him into power of virtue. At this moment, Knight Sorrow's merit energy had reached a critical point, and he could not absorb any more. Otherwise, he would not be able to suppress it, and it would explode in the Dark Precinct. Knight Sorrow could easily leave by exploding his merit energy at the border of the Dark Precinct, but that would affect his plan to seal the Dark Demon Emperor, so he gave up on killing Devil Thorn. He let Devil Thorn lead him and the other high gods of the Demon Gorilla Race to sweep the treasury of the Dark Demon Ape Race clean. Chapter 2458. With the support of powerful resources, Knight Sorrow raised the strength of the Azure Phoenix battle armor to the level of a high god. This was already the result of his best efforts, and it was impossible for him to raise it any further. At this point, in order to welcome the half-step Divine Lord Emissary of the 1,000 Cavern Mountain, Knight Sorrow had upgraded everything he could. He was already close to his peak. My strength has increased too quickly recently. Although I don't have any inner demons, I still need to settle down. In the past few days, he had been fighting continuously and killing a lot. Knight Sorrow returned to the territory of the gorilla race and entered seclusion, quietly waiting for the emissary to arrive. After calming down, Knight Sorrow missed his family on Night Moon Island. Although only a few months had passed in the Divine World, he had already spent thousands of years in the Endless Bone Realm. His longing for his family increased with each passing day. He wanted to return to his family and spend some peaceful time with them. The Endless Bone Realm and the Dark Precinct were too lonely, making him feel depressed. However, the responsibility in front of him was so great that he naturally wouldn't give it up. I hope I can successfully seal the Dark Demon Divine Lord. Otherwise, even if I return to High Bay City, I won't be able to find peace. If he failed, the Dark Demon Divine Lord would break the seal within 1,000 years. As long as it broke the seal, the Dark Precinct wouldn't be able to break free from the suppression of the Endless Bone Realm for long. Based on what Yishang knew about High Bay City, it was impossible for them to resist the invasion of the Dark Precinct. But now, it seemed that the safety of High Bay City was completely dependent on him. If I can seal the Dark Demon Divine Lord and gain enough time to cultivate, I will definitely be able to resist the Dark Demon Divine Lord in the future. As he thought about how he had fought against Dark Fiend Divine Monarch, Yishang also thought about Wu Lingfei. He thought to himself, Auntie Fei, my strength has increased very quickly. I will be able to rescue you in the near future. Knight Sorrow, who had been fighting all this time and was somewhat tired, laid on the stone slab and slept for several days. Leader, the emissary of the 1,000 Cave Mountain has arrived. He is very angry that you didn't go to welcome him. On this day, Yan Kuei entered the treasury after asking for instructions. He's finally here. As long as you're here, it doesn't matter if you're angry or not. Hearing Gorilla Kuei's words, Knight Sorrow revealed a smile. He lazily got up and walked out of the Gorilla Clan's treasury. You are the new leader of the Gorilla Clan, Gorilla Death? It's fine if you don't welcome me, but you still don't kneel down and greet me after seeing me? Who gave you the guts? The envoy of the 1,000 Cavern Mountain, Anku, was a bloated dark demon. His body was greenish-black, and he exuded an extremely evil aura. It was very strong, much stronger than the devil thorn that Knight Sorrow had defeated. Seeing Knight Sorrow appear, he immediately roared. Where is the Divine Lord token? I want to confirm your identity first. Knight Sorrow asked calmly as he faced the enraged Anku. What he cared about was naturally not the emissary, but the Divine Lord token in the other party's hand. You are courting death. You dare to question this envoy with just you. Looks like you won't be obedient if I don't teach you a lesson. Anku was a lofty existence in the 1,000 Cavern Mountain, so he was naturally incomparably arrogant in front of Knight Sorrow. He didn't even ask about Ao Qinggu, and directly slapped at Knight Sorrow's head. On the surface, he said that he wanted to teach Knight Sorrow a lesson, but he was going for the kill. It was obvious that he wanted to slap him to death. In fact, as long as he found the right clan, he didn't care about the life or death of a certain person. Killing without a word. Dark creatures are indeed very murderous. But you came at the right time. I also want to kill you. Through Gorilla Kuei, Knight Sorrow had already confirmed Nku's identity. He knew that the Divine Lord token was on him, so he didn't waste any more words. He quickly activated Essence Chi Smoke and Star's tyrannical body, and used the Blazing Spear to execute the Forbidden Spear. Boom! After the Blazing Spear collided with Nku's palm, Knight Sorrow was immediately sent flying. The strength of a half-step Divine Lord was indeed powerful. Knight Sorrow was no match for him at all. If not for the Blue Phoenix armor reducing a lot of the damage, he might have been injured in one round. Such powerful strength. A half-step Divine Lord is indeed powerful, many times stronger than that demonic thorn. After being sent flying, Knight Sorrow realized that this battle wasn't simple. You're a human cultivator. I participated in the last battle, so I can recognize your aura. Anku, who sent Knight Sorrow flying, roared angrily. You're a human cultivator, how dare you sneak into the dark region? Who gave you the courage? Anku had encountered all kinds of cultivators in the battle against High Bay City. When Knight Sorrow attacked, he realized that something was wrong. What's so scary about the dark region? I think it's just At this point, Knight Sorrow didn't refute Nku's accusation. He knew that this time, he had really exposed himself. Roar! You're really a human cultivator. Gorilla Kuei was right. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, all the members of the Gorilla Clan except for Gorilla Kuei glared at him. Each and every one of them looked like they wanted to eat him alive. Only Gorilla Kuei stood behind Knight Sorrow with a dull look on his face. It was ironic. Since you know, then come at me together. Knight Sorrow had been hiding himself all this time. Although he didn't want to alert the enemy, there was no way he could hide it after Nku's battle back then. Since there was no way to hide it, he might as well fight in peace. Other than using the Divine Lord token to sneak into the Thousand Cavern Mountain, Knight Sorrow had a backup plan, so he didn't panic. Human cultivator. I'm very curious. With your strength, how can you still be so calm? And Ku laughed wickedly and ordered, Dark Demon Clan, listen to my order. Cooperate with this emissary and capture this human emissary alive. The dark creatures were only known as the Dark Demon Clan to outsiders. Hearing Nku's order, the warriors of the gorilla clan went berserk as if they were injected with endless energy. Come, I'll kill to my heart's content today. Also, you should take care of your own lives. You want to capture me alive? Ridiculous. Since his identity was completely exposed, Knight Sorrow no longer held back and directly used the golden power of virtue to protect his body. With the protection of the High God's power of virtue, his strength instantly increased qualitatively. With the support of the Essence Chi Smoke, the Star's Tyrant Body, and the power of virtue, every time he waved the Raging Flame Spear, he would reap the life of a dark creature. He didn't need to deliberately control his strength, making him feel very carefree. One by one, the dark creatures exploded and turned into golden power of virtue, which was continuously absorbed by Knight Sorrow. He also entered a state where the more he fought, the stronger he became. Divine Lord Hun, a human cultivator, has been found in the territory of the gorilla clan. He has a merit deity position and is not easy to deal with. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was the merit feather god, Nku took out a voice transmission stone and reported the matter to Divine Lord Hun, then used a secret technique to join the battle. Good. Let me test the strength of a half-step Divine Lord. The other dark creatures are no match for you. Facing Nku, who was second only to Divine Lord Hun and a few other existences in the dark domain, Knight Sorrow, who hadn't transformed into a human for thousands of years, stood proudly on the spot after returning to his original body. Chapter 2459. It had already been over 1,000 years since Yi Sorrow had taken on the appearance of a gorilla. Now that he had regained his original appearance as a human cultivator, he no longer had to deliberately act like a gorilla. A surge of heroic spirit surged from his chest. After recovering, he held a spear in his hand and stood tall like a god of war. He stood alone against the entire dark domain, but he wasn't afraid at all. He had the aura of someone who could face tens of thousands of enemies head-on. Raging Flame Spear, burn away the aura of darkness and restore your original appearance. Facing the ferocious half-step Divine Lord Nku, Knight Sorrow pointed his flame spear at the sky and roared. The flame spear that had been covered by the aura of darkness immediately let out a resonant phoenix cry, burning away all the aura of darkness. Powerful flames soared into the sky, burning in the direction of Nku's attack. You have some skill. But to me, this kind of attack is a bit too immature. Facing the flame spear, Nku smiled eerily. His figure disappeared from where he stood, appearing in another direction like a ghost. Once a dark creature reached the half-step Divine Lord realm, whether it was in terms of body strength or speed, both had undergone a qualitative increase. It easily dodged the burning flame spear. Although you have a virtuous godhood position, your body refinement level is too low. You are not my opponent at all. After dodging an attack, Nku attacked Knight Sorrow dozens of times in the blink of an eye. Its figure was as fast as a ghost. Knight Sorrow couldn't keep up with the continuous attacks. He was hit 4 or 5 times in a row. Luckily, he had the help of the Blue Phoenix battle armor to offset a lot of the damage. He only felt some blood flow problems and wasn't seriously injured. A half-step Divine Lord is indeed not easy to deal with. Its speed is so astonishing. I'm not its opponent at all. It looks like I have to use all my cards. I can't hold back against such an existence. Although Knight Sorrow had used Essence Chi Smoke, Star's tyrannical body, and virtuous energy, he had only used 50% of his virtuous energy. This sort of strength was enough to attack any dark life form below the half-step Divine Lord realm. But it clearly wasn't enough to deal with Dark Wither. It was only the characteristics of the power of virtue that made Dark Wither a little wary. Seeing that the situation was not looking good, Knight Sorrow immediately unleashed the power of merit to the maximum. His body was completely enveloped by the golden light. The power of merit that had been raised to the level of an upper-level feather god was like the light of Buddha, giving people a sense of holiness and peace. This aura was the bane of all dark creatures. To dark creatures, this was even more lethal than the flaming spear. Besides the half-step Divine Lord and Ku, no other dark creatures dared to approach within 100 miles of Night Sorrow. What a powerful fire of virtue! Facing Night Sorrow's power of virtue, Dark Wither felt as if his soul was being roasted. His entire body felt extremely uncomfortable, as if his soul was being burned. Secret art. Darkness strengthening. And Ku, who had originally looked down on Night Sorrow, immediately used a secret technique to increase his strength by several times. Dark Wither's originally greenish-black body immediately grew 10 times larger, as if he had turned into an ancient giant beast. His entire body was shrouded in a dark aura, and his aura was clearly strengthened. Die! Human cultivator. After Dark Wither's body grew larger, he raised his palm and directly covered Night Sorrow's entire body. Then, like Mount Tai, he viciously slammed down. Fire of virtue, burn for me. This time, Night Sorrow didn't use the flaming spear to fight back against Dark Wither's attack. As he dodged, he transformed the power of virtue around him into a golden dragon that burned towards Dark Wither's giant palm. The power of virtue was the bane of all evil creatures. After being burned by it, Dark Wither immediately let out a miserable howl. The golden dragon of virtue quickly burned through Dark Wither's entire body. No matter what Dark Wither used, he couldn't extinguish the flames. This made him extremely angry. Human cultivator. Without this damned flame protecting your body, let's see how you resist my strongest attack. Dark Wither couldn't extinguish the fire of virtue at all. Dark Wither's body was burned with many wounds. Dark Wither was thoroughly enraged and was ready to use his strongest attack. Dark destruction. In his suffering, Dark Wither's face was filled with malevolence as he took out a pitch-black trident from his back and threw it at Night Sorrow with an aura that could destroy heaven and earth. The pitch-black trident was extremely fast, and as it flew through the air, there was the sound of space exploding. This was Dark Wither's strongest attack, Dark Destruction. Its aura was extremely shocking. This attack is very strong. It should be a move that can only be used by someone who has comprehended some Divine Lord laws. Dark Wither's attack made Night Sorrow feel as if his soul had been locked onto. He felt that no matter how he dodged, he wouldn't be able to dodge this dark trident. Since I can't dodge, I'll just have to take it head-on. With his heart as clear as a mirror, Night Sorrow immediately used the 7-star Berserk Light Shaking Art and used the Raging Flame Spear to strike out with the Soul-Splitting Evil Vanquishing Spear. After using the Soul-Splitting Evil Vanquishing Spear with his strongest strength, Night Sorrow suddenly felt his heart palpitate. A strange feeling appeared in the depths of his soul, but this feeling was fleeting and he couldn't grasp it. Boom! After the Raging Flame Spear and Dark Wither's trident collided, everything within 10,000 miles collapsed. Where Night Sorrow had been, a massive crater thousands of miles deep had been blasted into the ground. Weak ant that can't withstand a single blow. Dark Wither withdrew his trident. He felt that under his strongest attack, Night Sorrow would definitely be instantly killed. He coldly roared. Ant, if your strongest attack is only this strong, then you have the nerve to call me an ant that can't withstand a single blow? A half-step Divine Lord is nothing more than this. At this time, Night Sorrow slowly crawled out from the rubble. The Raging Flame Spear had received the greatest impact from that strike. Visible cracks had already appeared on the Scarlet Spear's body. As for Night Sorrow, the Blue Phoenix battle armor on his body was severely damaged, but it wasn't completely destroyed. What pained him the most was that the pill bottles hanging from his belt had all been reduced to powder. Only the few Divine Soul Recovery pills he held in his hand remained intact. What surprised Night Sorrow the most was that the gourd containing the Enlightenment Wine was completely undamaged. You endured the burning of the karmic sin flames and used your strongest attack. You're clearly staking everything on this one throw. Let's see what you can do now. The Raging Flame Spear had received too great of an impact and countless cracks had already appeared on it. Night Sorrow swallowed a pill and immediately recovered. He drank a large mouthful of Enlightenment Wine and allowed his soul to recover. Then, he fused the Raging Flame Spear and the 1,000-ton Demon Vanquishing Spear together, instantly forming a brand new spear. This spear's aura was a bit strange. The spear's body was a jade green color, but it burned with a fiery red flame. I'll call you the Raging Flame Demon Vanquishing Spear. After the fusion, the spear's aura was infinitely close to that of a Divine Lord. The flames around it contained a very violent energy. Holding the scorching hot spear in his hand, Night Sorrow felt as if he could control the power of heaven and earth. This allowed him to comprehend a brand new spear art. It was the exclusive spear art of the Raging Flame Spear, Demon Vanquishing Flames. Let's try out the forbidden spear art I just comprehended, Demon Vanquishing Flames. With a loud shout, Night Sorrow suddenly soared into the sky. He waved the Raging Flame Spear and used the spear art he just comprehended. In an instant, countless streaks of flames shot towards Nku's location like flowing light. The pitch-black domain of darkness was completely lit up by the flames. This was a large-scale fire attack. Although Nku's speed was astonishing, it wasn't covered by the flames at all. It couldn't dodge at all. Faced with the dual burning of demon vanquishing flames and the flames of merit, Nku roared crazily. Almost all the other dark creatures nearby were burned to death. They turned into streaks of golden power of merit and flew into Night Sorrow's body. In a short period of time, his power increased again. His power of merit was close to the peak of the Divine Feather Realm, which was half a step into the Upper Divine Realm. At this time, Nku was half dead from the flames and had completely lost the ability to resist. As long as he killed Nku, Night Sorrow could immediately raise his power of merit to the Upper Divine Realm. This was the highest level he could reach in the domain of darkness. Enough, human. Chapter 2460. This voice gave off an extremely evil feeling. After being berated by this voice, Yishan felt as if his soul had suffered a heavy blow. This was the pressure of a higher life form, which made him feel very uncomfortable. Night Sorrow reacted immediately. It was Sir Godden Hun, the strongest person in Dark Sector. Even if you're a Sir God, you can't stop me from killing Nku. The voice came from far away. It would take Sir Godden Hun some time to get there. Night Sorrow, who felt uncomfortable in his soul, took out the enlightenment wine gourd and gulped down a few mouthfuls. After the enlightenment wine entered his stomach, he immediately felt calm and his soul no longer trembled. The enlightenment wine is indeed magical. I feel much better. Night Sorrow sighed. After his soul calmed down, he held the roaring flame demon spear and struck Nku with the forbidden spear. Nku, who had been burned by the double flames, was already badly battered. Faced with the roaring flame demon spear, which was close to the level of a Sir God, his mountain-like body was immediately penetrated by the spear. You're dead. No one can save you. Night Sorrow, who had the upper hand, continued to strike with the roaring flame demon spear. Nku was unable to fight back. If you dare to kill me, the Sir God will avenge me. Even a gold-bodied Sir God who barged into Dark Sector had his body smashed. You won't have a good ending either. Nku roared unwillingly. You're a cold and evil creature of darkness. You don't have to worry about that. Dang. Since he had decided to kill Nku, Night Sorrow naturally wouldn't show any mercy. He continued to wield the spear that was glowing in red light. It didn't take long for Nku to explode. He turned into golden power of virtue and entered Night Sorrow's body, raising his power of virtue to the peak of the Divine Feather Realm. In other words, he was half a step into the Divine Feather Realm. What a powerful feeling. It should be easier to face a half-step Sir God. However, I'm still no match for Sir Godden Hun. After raising his power of merit to the peak of Divine Feather Realm, Night Sorrow felt comfortable and his strength had increased by several times. But, he was well aware that there was a massive disparity between him and the Divine Lord Realm. It was impossible for him to directly resist. However, this is a rare opportunity. Since we've already fought to this point, we might as well continue until the seal of the Dark Demon Divine Lord is strengthened. Night Sorrow, who knew the difference between him and Sir Godden Hun, did not take the opportunity to escape from the Dark Region before Sir Godden Hun descended. Instead, he drank a few more mouthfuls of Tao Comprehension wine to further improve his soul and mental state. Then, he charged toward the nearby dark races and robbed them of their treasuries to repair the Blue Phoenix armor and Inferno Demon Subduing Spear. In less than 3 days, Night Sorrow's condition had reached its peak. Ants, you know that I'm coming, yet you still dare to covet the resources of the Dark Dimension. You really don't know what's good for you. Do you think you have the strength of a gold-bodied divine monarch? How foolish. Not long after Night Sorrow recovered, a huge body descended from the sky. Sir Godden Hun had officially descended with boundless might. Like Nku, it belonged to the Dark Demon clan, but its body was much larger, like a mountain. The surrounding dark aura was so dense that it was like a fog. It covered its entire body and one could not see its appearance clearly. Sir God and Hun? I, Night Sorrow, knew that you would come, but I didn't leave. What can you do to me? Night Sorrow, who was holding the Inferno demon-subduing spear, pointed at Sir God and Hun in the distance. The surrounding dark aura was so dense that he could not see it clearly. He could only point to a general direction. The dark aura that Sir God and Hun gave off was strong and evil. It exerted great pressure on the soul. If it was not for the Tao Comprehension Wine, Night Sorrow would not be able to withstand it. Even without Sir God and Hun taking action, his soul would be controlled directly. Ants that don't know what's good for you. How dare you offend me? You will not die with any dignity if you do this. I will control you and make you my slave forever. Sir God and Hun's voice was eerie as though it came from hell. The surrounding dark aura was overflowing, and there was a sense of oppression as though it was in control of the entire situation. So what if I offend you? You are just a trashy low-rank Sir God hiding in the darkness region. Do you really think that you are the Divine King or the Dominator? Night Sorrow took out the divine talisman that Mo Yuqian had prepared and said with a terrifying aura, "Do you think that you can withstand an attack from this divine talisman? Although I am weak, I can kill you in an instant." With the divine talisman that was made by an invincible Sir God, Night Sorrow was not afraid of Sir God and Hun. He thought that he could just die together with him. This is a divine talisman that was made when I was a golden body Sir God at his peak. Sir God and Hun, who thought that he had the entire situation under control, immediately changed his tone. Back then, when Sir God Mo Yuqian barged into the darkness region to fight with Sir God Enying and Sir God Dark Demon, he had used such a powerful divine talisman and caused the 1,000 Cavern Mountain to sink by 1,000 miles. Back then, Sir God and Hun was only a half-step Sir God. He feared such a divine talisman from the bottom of his heart. At such a close distance, once the divine talisman explodes, you won't be able to escape. In other words, your life is already in my hands. Can we talk now? Night Sorrow's body was surrounded by the golden power of merit. His every word and action carried a sacred aura, which made it difficult for the aura of darkness to invade him. What's your goal? Faced with the divine talisman that was made by a Sir God and Hun's soul trembled. He knew that he was indeed threatened. He was so angry that he wanted to smash Night Sorrow into pieces. However, he did not dare to make any moves. It was not easy to cultivate to the Sir God realm. He did not want to be killed by a divine talisman for no reason. My goal is to use this divine talisman to strengthen Sir God Dark Demon's seal. What you need to do is to bring me to the soul-splitting evil spear and bring me to the place where Sir God Dark Demon is sealed, Night Sorrow said fearlessly. If an ordinary feather god were to face a Sir God, he would not even dare to breathe loudly. However, Night Sorrow was not afraid. Strengthening Sir God Dark Demon's seal will not do any harm to me. Naturally, I will not stop you. However, if you want to find Sir God Golden Body's soul-splitting evil spear, you must be dreaming. I will not let you succeed. And Hun was promoted from a half-step Sir God to a Sir God. He immediately became the new ruler of Darkness Domain. If Sir God Dark Demon broke the seal, he would definitely give up his position as ruler. Now that someone had come to seal Sir God Dark Demon, he was overjoyed. Naturally, he would not stop them. Dark creatures were selfish, evil, cold-blooded, and bloodthirsty. They only cared about their own interests. And Hun had no objection to sealing Sir God Dark Demon. However, the soul-splitting evil spear was a divine weapon of an invincible Sir God. It was a great threat to him. Naturally, he would not follow Night Sorrow to search for it. All right. Then bring me to the 1,000 Cavern Mountain. I want to strengthen Sir God Dark Demon's seal. Night Sorrow, who had been holding the spear and facing an Hun, frowned and pondered for a moment. Then he said word by word. His ultimate goal in entering Darkness Domain was to seal Sir God Dark Demon and delay the dark creatures from invading High Bay City. Now that the opportunity was right in front of him, he would seize it no matter what. I am very curious. After you consume Sir God Golden Body's divine talisman, how will you face me? After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Sir God Dark Soul responded. His voice was filled with evil and cold-killing intent. There was no doubt that once Night Sorrow consumed the divine talisman, he would immediately take action. You don't have to worry about that. Dark creatures like you will never understand my determination to protect the people. Chapter 2461. If Night Sorrow missed this opportunity, the Dark Demon Divine Lord would quickly recover. An invincible Divine Lord was a giant whale that the current High Bay City could not fight against. Night Sorrow would not back down even if he had to risk his life. Moreover, after his strength increased, he could vaguely feel a trace of summoning when he used the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear. It was very likely that it came from the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear itself. Night Sorrow's power of virtue had reached the peak of the Feather God realm. If he could find the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear, he might have a chance to escape. Night Sorrow, as the second human to kill his way into the dark domain, your courage is admirable. Out of respect for you, this Emperor will personally control your soul and make you an eternal servant of darkness. You have too many tricks up your sleeve. Night Sorrow mocked before continuing. There's no time to lose. Take me to the place where the Dark Demon Divine Lord was sealed. Let's go to the 1,000 Cavern Mountain. The one who benefited the most from the Dark Demon Divine Lord being sealed was Dark Soul. Although it did not like being threatened, it was looking forward to Night Sorrow successfully strengthening the seal. Under its lead, Night Sorrow successfully passed through the many dark races' territories in the Dark Domain and arrived at the foot of the 1,000 Cavern Mountain. The 1,000 Cavern Mountain was the core of the Dark Domain. Standing at the foot of the mountain, Night Sorrow felt an extremely strong evil aura. This evil aura made him feel dizzy. Night Sorrow immediately took off the enlightenment wine gourd and drank a few mouthfuls. He shook his head to stabilize his soul. You are well prepared. Seeing Yi Shang's reaction, Sir Godden Hun smiled coldly. He thought to himself, it's easy for you to come, but it's impossible for you to leave. The main reason was that once Night Sorrow used up the talisman in his hand, he would immediately take action. If I'm not well prepared, how can I seal the Dark Demon Divine Lord? Where should I go next? Night Sorrow followed Dark Soul Divine Lord and walked step by step toward the 1,000 Cavern Mountain. He silently sensed the existence of the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear. Mo Yuqian once said that the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear was lost near the 1,000 Cavern Mountain. He didn't want to give up on his only chance of survival, so he naturally tried his best to sense the other party. However, the dark aura of the 1,000 Cavern Mountain was extremely dense, and his perception was almost completely sealed off. Walk through the stone door and you'll see the Dark Demon's seal. At that moment, Sir Godden Hun, who had been advancing, stopped in front of a stone door. It used a secret technique to open the stone door, indicating that Night Sorrow could enter, and it stopped moving forward. You go first. Otherwise, I will activate the Divine Talisman and annihilate you. After staring at the stone door for a while, Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't believe Sir Godden Hun and was afraid that he would send him into an isolated space. If that was the case, the Divine Talisman in his hand would lose its deterrence. I don't want to face the Dark Demons. And Hun's tone was extremely cold. The Dark Demon was an evil creature born from the origin of the Dark Sector. All dark creatures in the Dark Sector, including Dark Soul, were naturally afraid of it. If you want to wear the crown, you must bear its weight. The Dark Demon has already been sealed, but you don't even have the courage to face it. Only if you can sit on the throne of the Dark Demon clan. Night Sorrow said disdainfully. He felt that Hun's boldness was lacking by a lot. If he could successfully strengthen the Dark Demon's seal, it would be good enough for the Dark Sector to maintain its current state under Hun's rule. It shouldn't cause a devastating blow to High Bay City. Human. What you said makes sense. Now that the Dark Demon has been sealed, I shouldn't continue to fear it. I am the Supreme Emperor of the Dark Sector. I don't need to fear anyone. Hun, who was standing outside the stone door, pondered for a moment, then got up and walked in. He only feared the Dark Demon and didn't take Night Sorrow seriously. Do I need to use the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear art to be sensed? Night Sorrow, who followed Hun through the stone door, kept thinking about how to summon the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear. As he pondered, he found himself walking into a huge dark abyss. The huge abyss in front of him was hundreds of thousands of miles deep. At the bottom of the abyss, there was a stone statue the size of a mountain. This stone statue was like an evil totem from ancient times. It bared its teeth and looked extremely evil. Looking at it would make one's heart palpitate, as if he was being stared at by a wild beast. Around the stone statue, there was a thick dark aura. This dark aura was shrouded in a certain range by a layer of golden film. Obviously, this layer of golden film was the sealing array set up by the gold-bodied divine monarch. The dark demon was an evil dark creature born from the dark sector. It couldn't be killed in the dark sector. Back then, after Mo Yuqian defeated it, he could only choose to seal it. This is the dark demon. It's really evil. The dark demon had an evil aura that could destroy the world. This aura was not found on other dark creatures. Knight Sorrow immediately used the power of merit to protect himself and walked down the stairs. And Hun, who was walking in front, was trembling. He almost crawled on the ground and didn't dare to continue walking down. The dark demon's aura was very strong in the abyss. And Hun felt fear from the bottom of his soul. And Hun is obviously afraid of the dark demon's aura. However, this discovery is useless because I can't use the dark demon's aura. Unless... Knight Sorrow thought to himself as he saw in Hun's reaction. After walking for tens of thousands of miles, Knight Sorrow suddenly stopped and shot the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear technique into the void. There's a reaction. After using the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear technique at the bottom of the Thousand Cave Mountain, Knight Sorrow immediately felt a strong calling. What are you doing? And Hun, who had been trembling in fear, roared furiously when he saw Yi Shang's actions. He was afraid that Knight Sorrow would break the dark demon's seal. If the dark demon was released at this time, he would definitely be killed. What I do is not something a piece of trash like you can control. Knight Sorrow shouted from the bottom of the abyss. In the huge abyss, the dark aura was very strong. This dark aura couldn't suppress Knight Sorrow, but it made Hun unable to move normally. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I have to get rid of Hun before I strengthen the seal. If I strengthen the seal, Hun will definitely be affected and I will lose the chance to defeat him. Seeing Hun being suppressed by the dark aura in the abyss, Knight Sorrow sensed the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear. He activated the Essence Chi Smoke Beacon, Star's Tyrant Body, Power of Merit, and 7-Star Berserk all K'd to their strongest state. He then cut his finger and dripped a drop of blood on the Azure Phoenix battle armor to activate its strongest state. He shouted, "Spear, come!" Wang. A rusty spear that was buried in the ground in the mountains immediately blossomed with endless light after it sensed the summons. It soared into the sky and headed straight for Knight Sorrow. In an instant, the entire Thousand Cave Mountain shook violently. Chapter 2462. The soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear was so powerful that it naturally alarmed Sir God and Hun. And Hun, who was originally trembling, immediately used a secret technique to improve his condition. He stood up against the pressure of the dark demon's aura. At this moment, he was extremely angry. And Hun originally thought that he would be less suppressed by the dark demon's aura after becoming a Sir God. However, after entering the dark abyss, he felt that his soul was trembling and he was unable to resist the natural suppression. This made him very depressed. Human cultivator, I let you in so that you can strengthen the seal. Since you didn't do as I said, then die. 100 Evils War Halberd. Kill him for me. And Hun followed Knight Sorrow into the dark abyss out of caution. He was afraid that Knight Sorrow would help the dark demon break the seal if he wasn't restrained. When he saw Knight Sorrow summoning the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear, he immediately became furious. He resisted the pressure of the dark demon's aura and attacked Knight Sorrow with his halberd. And Hun's trident was called the 100 Evils War Halberd. It was made from hundreds of extremely evil materials in the dark dimension. And Hun had nourished it with the dark demon's aura for several reincarnations and it was now a Sir God weapon. And Hun didn't have to pay attention to the 100 Evils War Halberd after he attacked Knight Sorrow. The attack of a Sir God weapon had the power to destroy the world. It brought endless pressure to Knight Sorrow. He thought to himself, a Sir God weapon is indeed powerful. If it weren't for the fact that both Hun and the 100 Evils War Halberd were suppressed in the dark abyss and couldn't use their full strength, I would have been killed by this attack. Knight Sorrow's tempered body was only at the middle-level Feather God realm and his power of virtue was only at the peak of the Feather God realm. Facing the attack of the Sir God weapon, the 100 Evils War Halberd, he used his vital essence smoke, Star's hegemonic body, power of virtue, and 7-star violent alkade to the strongest state. He even cut his finger and dripped blood on the Azure Phoenix armor to activate the strongest state. However, he was in a very difficult situation and could only barely resist. Kill! 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 One of the phantoms in the 100 Evils war halberd was like a devil from hell. It carried an evil killing intent and kept bombarding Night Sorrow's position. Every attack made Night Sorrow feel very uncomfortable. It was the artifact spirit of the 100 Evils war halberd, so it had its own consciousness. I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on for long against such a powerful attack. Even though Night Sorrow had used all his strength to block the attack, his body was still heavily injured. If he had blocked the attack for too long, his body might have been shattered. Although his body's toughness far exceeded that of his peers, it was still very difficult for him to withstand the impact of the 100 Evils war halberd. You divine Feather Realm Ant, you can't even resist my divine artifact, yet you still dare to try and harm me? You really overestimate yourself. Looking at Night Sorrow's miserable state, Sir Godden Hun, who could barely stand up in the dark aura, said with disdain. He could feel Night Sorrow's murderous intent towards him, and it had completely stimulated his murderous intent. You are really blindly confident. I hope you can be so confident after 10 breaths' time. Although Night Sorrow was barely able to withstand the attack and even his green phoenix armor was almost shattered, he was very excited. He could feel that the soul-splitting evil spear was getting closer and closer. As long as he could hold on for another 10 breaths' time, it would be in front of him. 10 breaths' time wasn't short, but he should be able to hold on. Sir Godden Hun's 100 Evils war halberd had an artifact spirit that could attack autonomously. Sir God Invincible Mo Qian's divine artifact, soul-splitting evil spear, wouldn't be any weaker than it. As long as it arrived, everything would be reversed. Soul-splitting evil spear is almost here. The 100 Evils war halberd will kill him immediately. At that moment, Sir Godden Hun felt the aura of soul-splitting evil spear getting closer and he was a little afraid. He was prepared to let the 100 Evils war halberd kill Night Sorrow and escape from the dark abyss. As long as he was far away from the dark abyss where the dark demon was sealed, a divine artifact alone wouldn't be enough to kill him. Take my strongest attack. 100 Evils soul-devouring slash. The artifact spirit of the 100 Evils war halberd received Sir Godden Hun's kill order, and it immediately turned into a huge shadow and flew out from the 100 Evils war halberd. It turned into hundreds of evil auras and shot towards Night Sorrow. In an instant, the nearby aura of the dark demon was covered up. This was the strongest attack of the 100 Evils war halberd, and it could attack one's soul directly. Hundreds of evil auras surged over, and Night Sorrow felt as though his soul was being torn apart by hundreds of hands. It was so unbearable that it felt as though his divine soul was being shattered. What an evil aura! My soul's level isn't high enough and I can't withstand it. Power of merit, protect me immediately. Night Sorrow knew that he couldn't withstand such an attack. He could only use the power of merit and try his best to withstand it. A few breaths' time. I just need to hold on for a few breaths' time and the soul-splitting evil spear will arrive. I have to hold on. His soul was being torn apart into hundreds of pieces and each piece was being attacked by an evil aura. This feeling almost made Night Sorrow collapse. He roared in a low voice to pull himself together so that he wouldn't sink into the darkness. As a feather god, your divine soul is strong enough. However, you stand no chance against my 100 Evils war halberd. Wait for the torture of your soul being shattered. And Hun, who was standing far away, saw Night Sorrow's reaction and his cold eyes revealed a tinge of ridicule. He said in a mocking tone, "The soul-splitting evil spear will arrive soon but you can't hold on any longer. I enjoy the taste of despair." A few breaths' time was short but it was enough for the 100 Evils war halberd to destroy Night Sorrow's soul, and for Sir Godden Hun to retreat. Bastard! I really can't hold on any longer. Night Sorrow's soul cursed violently. Just as Hun had said, he couldn't hold on any longer. A few breaths' time wasn't long but it felt like a few reincarnations. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from the depths of Night Sorrow's soul. Drink, drink quickly. Drink, yes. I have the enlightenment wine. It will help me resist the soul shock. Night Sorrow had lost his ability to think when his soul was being torn apart by hundreds of evil auras. This sentence was like a wake-up call that made him shiver and sober up instantly. Enduring the unbearable pain, he took out the wine gourd and drank continuously. This time, Night Sorrow didn't drink by the mouth but drank the enlightenment wine like it was water. Bas! After drinking for a while, Night Sorrow suddenly felt his soul tremble. His divine soul rose from the level of a low-level feather god to that of a middle-level feather god. At this moment, the strength of his divine soul was more powerful than that of an ordinary half-step to high god and infinitely close to that of a high god. With the support of the star's mighty body, power of merit and the 7 stars' violent alcade, he could resist the 100 evils' soul-devouring slash. Of course, this was because the aura of the dark demon had suppressed Hun and the 100 evils' war halberd and weakened the attack. If not for this, he wouldn't have stood a chance. Boom! After a few breaths' time, there was an earth-shattering sound of rocks breaking. The soul-splitting evil-slaying spear smashed the stone wall of the abyss and broke through the wall to attack the 100 evils' war halberd that was suppressing Night Sorrow. 100 evils' war halberd. Although I can escape from here with you. The dark abyss suppressed Hun and the 100 evils' war halberd greatly. Seeing the soul-splitting evil-slaying spear breaking through the air, Hun immediately thought of escaping. Chapter 2463. Hun did not expect the soul-splitting evil spear to be awakened and Night Sorrow to be able to resist the 100 evil soul-devouring slash of the 100 evil halberd. Otherwise, he would not have given Night Sorrow any chance. Hun had underestimated Night Sorrow. He had thought that Night Sorrow would not be able to do anything with his strength in the God of Feather realm. Only the divine talisman in his hand was a threat. I've awakened. You have no chance to escape. When the soul-splitting evil spear attacked the 100 evil halberd, a handsome figure appeared in the spear. It was an artifact spirit with the appearance of a white-haired youth. There was a strong murderous aura between his eyebrows. It was obvious that he had experienced countless killings. Crack! The 100 evil halberd was immediately broken into 2 after being hit. The soul-splitting evil spear of the invincible Sir God Mo Qian was obviously of a higher grade than the 100 evil halberd of Sir God Hun. Then, the artifact spirit of the soul-splitting evil halberd broke out of the spear and chased after the artifact spirit of the 100 evil halberd. The 100 evil halberd stopped attacking Night Sorrow when it was chased by the artifact spirit of the soul-splitting evil halberd. His soul instantly felt relieved. Night Sorrow, who was about to drink a few more mouthfuls of enlightenment wine to recover his divine soul power, realized that the enlightenment wine gourd was empty. His gulping just now had already consumed all of the Tao comprehension wine. It seems that I can only recover slowly. Brother soul-splitting evil halberd is really domineering. Night Sorrow, who had recovered, immediately saw the soul-splitting evil halberd breaking the 100 evil halberd. He felt refreshed. The 100 evils war halberd had indeed suppressed him. Speaking of which, his realm was still too low. If he could break through to the high god realm, he might be able to fight with the 100 evil halberd or Sir God Hun without the soul-splitting evil halberd. Don't just stand there. Reinforce the seal of the dark demon immediately. Night Sorrow had wanted to cooperate with the soul-splitting evil halberd to kill Sir God Hun. However, the soul-splitting evil halberd suddenly shouted, I can feel that the dark demon is about to break out of the formation. Its aura is too strong. What? The dark demons are about to break out of the formation so quickly. Night Sorrow was shocked and immediately took out the divine talisman that he had put away. In Yen Kuei's memories, the dark demon still had 1,000 years or so before it could break the seal. But now, the soul-splitting evil executing spear was saying that it was about to break the seal. The dark aura of the dark devil here is so dense that even Hun, a god monarch, is suppressed to the point of trembling. This proved that the dark demons were about to break out of the formation. Quickly insert the divine talisman that the Divine Lord gave you into the sealing formation. Good. I'll do it right away. If the dark demon were to break out of the array, Night Sorrow and the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear would definitely be destroyed. Night Sorrow, who had suffered a backlash from the 7 stars berserk, took out 2 divine soul recovery pills and swallowed them. After recovering, he directly struck the divine talisman towards the dark demon statue. When the divine talisman was thrown into the sealing array, it immediately exploded. After absorbing all the energy from the divine talisman, the array sealing the dark demon became sturdy again. During this process, the dark demon statue did not change at all. It stood quietly at the bottom of the abyss. To be able to strengthen the seal so easily, this is very strange. The dark demon is about to break out of the formation. Facing your divine talisman, It is impossible for it to remain indifferent. Its strength is not inferior to Sir God Monarch at all. It is impossible for it to compromise so easily. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had successfully strengthened the seal, the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear's weapon spirit immediately realized that something was wrong. If something was abnormal, there must be a demon. The dark demon statue did not have any strange movements. This was very strange. But after that, it and Knight Sorrow checked and found that the array had indeed been successfully strengthened. There would not be any problems within a cycle. How could this be? Logically speaking, the dark demon should not be so easy to deal with. After checking the seal, the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear's weapon spirit still felt that something was wrong, but it did not discover anything. The dark demon statue does not look as evil as before. Could this be a sign of something? Looking at the dark demon statue, Knight Sorrow found that when he looked at the dark demon statue again, he did not have the same feeling of palpitations. He could not help but ask suspiciously. At this moment, not only did Knight Sorrow not have the same feeling of palpitations, and Hun, who was originally suppressed by the dark demon's aura, was also freed from the shackles. Without the suppression of the dark demon's aura, it immediately escaped from the dark abyss and disappeared. The 100 evil war halberd had been broken by the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear. This made Hun fearful and did not dare to face the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear. The matter of the dark demon has temporarily come to an end. Should we go after Hun? Seeing that Hun had escaped, Knight Sorrow immediately shouted, "If you have the strength to kill it, then go after it. If not, before it can react, immediately escape from the dark boundary. I have just exhausted myself and am about to fall into a deep sleep. The reason why I was so strong just now was to help you scare Hun away and create a chance for you to escape. I can still deal with a weapon spirit by bluffing, but I do not have the strength to continue fighting against a Sir God." The soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear's weapon spirit's aura had obviously weakened. It no longer had the earth-shattering aura from before. "Senior, thank you for saving my life. If I can successfully leave the dark boundary, I will find a way to wake you up." Hearing this, Knight Sorrow realized that in order to save him, the weapon spirit of the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear had paid a price. He was a person who knew how to repay kindness, so he immediately made a promise. "You are the successor of the Sir God. I cannot leave you in the lurch. All right, quickly leave this place. Bring me to the Sir God's side." The soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear's weapon spirit's aura became weaker and weaker. In the end, it completely entered the soul-splitting evil-vanquishing spear and did not make any sound. It seems like this is the best ending. It's time to leave. The dark demon's aura in the dark abyss had weakened a lot. It was almost the same as the aura in the endless bone region. After taking one last look at the stone statue of the dark demon, Knight Sorrow got up and walked out of the dark abyss. Recently, he had been continuously fighting in the dark boundary, and his spiritual soul had been injured. He was very tired and could only quickly return to the endless bone region to recover his spiritual soul. Then, he could return to High Bay City to find his family and friends. Human cultivator. It's not that easy to leave. However, at this moment, an evil and cold voice suddenly sounded. The dark demon's aura that had dissipated suddenly gathered together and formed the appearance of the dark demon. It floated above the void in the dark abyss. "Sir God Dark Demon?" Looking at the evil figure that looked exactly the same as the dark demon's stone statue, Knight Sorrow's pupils suddenly contracted. "I am not the dark demon lord. However, I am enough to kill an ant like you." The evil figure that was formed by the dark demon's aura laughed evilly and pounced on Knight Sorrow. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was surprised to find that the evil figure's aura was not weaker than that of Sir God Hun before he was suppressed. In fact, it was slightly stronger. In fact, it made sense. If the dark demon's aura was not stronger than Hun's, how could he suppress Hun to the point that he could not even stand stably? There is such an existence. In the face of the soul attack from the evil figure, Knight Sorrow's spiritual power, which was already injured, could not withstand it at all. This matter was completely out of his expectations. He did not expect that the aura of the dark demon that leaked out of the ceiling formation could form a lower-rank Sir God that was not weaker than Hun. Am I going to die here or have my spiritual soul controlled? At this moment, Knight Sorrow was helpless. Chapter 2464. Accept your fate. The gold-bodied divine monarch calculated the existence of an Hun, but not me. In the end, Lord Dark Demon is better. After the divine monarch formed by the Dark Demon aura attacked Night Sorrow, it directly used soul control, wanting to turn Night Sorrow into its body. Burp. Not necessarily. Just as the divine monarch formed by the Dark Demon aura had the complete advantage and was about to completely suppress Night Sorrow's soul, a drunken voice sounded. The wine gourd on Night Sorrow's back suddenly turned into the gold-bodied divine monarch Mo Chantian and appeared in the dark abyss. Gold-bodied divine monarch? The Dark Demon aura that was attacking Night Sorrow immediately left Night Sorrow's surroundings and gathered in the air again. It looked warily at the Mo Chantian formed by the wine gourd. Hee. My wine gourd alone is enough to deal with you. There's no need for Lord Divine Monarch to make a move. The Mo Chantian formed by the wine gourd laughed disdainfully and burped. His expression was very similar to Mo Chantian's. So you're about the same as me. After confirming that the divine monarch in front of him was not a real gold-bodied divine monarch, the divine monarch formed by the Dark Demon aura heaved a sigh of relief. He said arrogantly, "You will definitely die today. You want to win against the two of us? You're completely drunk. Kid, the chance for revenge is here. Lend me some power of virtue." The Mo Chantian formed by the wine gourd looked at Night Sorrow. Power of virtue was a good thing to deal with demons and monsters. He wanted to use it. At this moment, Night Sorrow had just recovered from the nightmare brought by the Dark Demon aura. After figuring out what was going on, he immediately turned his power of virtue into a dragon and wrapped it around the Mo Chantian formed by the wine gourd. Being wrapped by the dragon of virtue, the Mo Chantian formed by the wine gourd immediately shone with golden light and attacked the divine monarch formed by the Dark Demon aura. Neither of them were divine monarchs through cultivation, but they both had the strength of a divine monarch. After a great battle, they reenacted the scene of the past. This time, the gold-bodied divine monarch won, but he was unable to completely destroy the Dark Demon aura. The aura of the Dark Demon immediately dissipated into the void after his defeat. Gold-bodied divine monarch, you will never be able to destroy me. Our battle is not over yet. When the Dark Demon's aura dissipated in the void, the voice of the Dark Demon Emperor resounded in the dark abyss. It was an extremely cold voice that made one's heart palpitate. Did the Dark Devil come out? This voice gave off a very bad feeling. Yi Shang immediately asked with a frown. It's a part of the Dark Demon. If it completely came out, we would have been killed long ago. Sigh, even now, we still can't destroy it. The wine gourd transformed into Mo have money inside. The Dark Demon's aura dispersed into the void, making it impossible for him to find the target of his attack. I can't destroy the Dark Demon's true body, but I can try to purify the dark aura in the air. After staring at the void for a while, Night Sorrow removed the Inferno Demon subduing spear from his back and let the power of merit wrap around his body. He unleashed a raging Inferno Demon into the air. Flames mixed with the power of merit immediately covered most of the void in the dark abyss. Ah! Lowly human cultivator. I'll make you pay the price. The dark aura in the void was purified by Night Sorrow's power of merit. The Dark Demon let out a blood-curdling scream and left behind a ruthless sentence before completely losing all signs of life. You'd better pray that you never see me again, because the next time we meet, I'll completely destroy you. Night Sorrow lowered his head to look at the Dark Demon statue, pointed the tip of his spear at it, and roared loudly. He wasn't a match for the Dark Demon Emperor now, but he had the confidence and determination to surpass the other party. We'll meet again soon. I hope you won't disappoint this Emperor at that time. The Dark Demon's voice came again, this time from the statue at the bottom of the abyss. Quickly leave the dark abyss and return to the endless bone realm. I'm about to disappear. At this time, the wine gourd transformed into Mo have money and reminded Night Sorrow to leave quickly before returning to his original form. Okay, Senior. I won't let you down. At this time, the only threat to Night Sorrow left in the dark abyss was the Dark Soul, but it had already escaped from the Thousand Cavern Mountain. Taking advantage of its absence, Night Sorrow left the dark abyss along the path he came from. After entering the heavenly pit, Night Sorrow discovered that the dark aura of the dark abyss was still constantly eroding over, forming skeletons of the Feather God realm. Night Sorrow knew that these skeletons would attack the seal of the endless bone realm. He used his power of merit to form a wall at the entrance of the heavenly pit, immediately isolating all the dark aura and preventing it from eroding over. In the process of returning to the endless bone realm, Knight Sorrow discovered that the gorillas in the heavenly pit had already become corpses. He knew that this was the work of Jing Yun, so she should have successfully returned. After returning to the sky-reaching bone pagoda, Knight Sorrow saw the golden-body divine Lord Mo have money, who had already become an artifact spirit, in the cultivation room on the top floor. Jing Yun, Zhu Yunxia, Ho Lai, and Gung Chen were standing behind him. When they saw Knight Sorrow return, their eyes were filled with excitement and joy. Especially Jing Yun, whose eyes were flickering. She had been to the dark abyss before, so she knew how dangerous it was. However, Mo have money stood in front and did not move. They followed behind him and did not speak. This was out of respect for their predecessors. Brother, Knight Sorrow has successfully strengthened the seal of the Dark Demon with the help of the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear and the wine gourd. However, I feel that things are not so simple. The Dark Demon must have left something behind. Knight Sorrow took the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear and the wine gourd and handed them to Mo have money. Good fellow. Seeing the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear, Mo have money's eyes revealed a trace of emotion. However, he only took a glance before turning his gaze back to Knight Sorrow's face. He said solemnly, "A new soul has been born in Ao Qingwu's body. I suspect that it is the Dark Demon. However, she has already left the Endless Bone Realm, so I can't be sure." What? Something like this happened? Looks like I have to return to High Bay City immediately. Ao Qingwu's body was as strong as a high god's. If her body was really controlled by the Dark Demon, the consequences would be dire. No one in High Bay City could stop him. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was a little regretful that he had saved Ao Qingwu. I know what you are thinking. However, you are the feather god of merit. You are different from others. It is not in your character to leave someone in the lurch. Don't think too much. Just follow your heart and do everything. You are about to leave. I have a cultivation manual here. Perhaps you can use it. Take the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear with you. Now that I have become an artifact spirit, I don't need it anymore. I am already satisfied to be able to see my old friend again. Mo have money's voice was full of vicissitudes. After handing over a cultivation manual, he sounded a little sad. Brother, I will bring all kinds of good wine to see you. If there is a chance, I will help you reforge a flawless body and let you embark on the path of cultivation again. Knight Sorrow knew that the sky-piercing bone pagoda needed to guard the endless bone realm. As its artifact spirit, Mo have money could not leave at all. Now that he was about to leave, his emotions were a little complicated. Sigh. I am already satisfied to be able to use a little of my remaining strength in the endless bone realm. As for reforging a flawless body, I am afraid that only the invincible Divine King and the Sovereign can do it. I don't even dare to dream of it. Mo have money sighed. Brother, don't worry. I will definitely do it. Knight Sorrow said word by word. The invincible Divine King or the Sovereign was a realm that many did not dare to dream of. However, he had the confidence to pursue it. Brother Knight Sorrow, you are about to leave. I have a favor to ask of you. I wonder if you can agree? Chapter 2465. Brother, you're the hero who saved High Bay City, and you're also half a master to me. If you have anything to say, just say it. It's Knight Sorrow's honor to be able to do something for you. Mo Yuqian had been so high-spirited during the battle in the Dark Domain. Now that he was hemming and hawing, Knight Sorrow's heart ached. He respected this old man from the bottom of his heart, who had a slightly wretched appearance but had a big heart. He was willing to do anything for him. This brother was high-spirited back then, but you only cared about suppressing the Dark Demon clan and neglected your family. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Mo Yuqian smiled bitterly. I hope Brother Knight Sorrow can help me see if the Mo clan is still alive after you leave here. If you come to the Bone region again, send me a message. Mo Yuqian had sacrificed everything for High Bay City, but he was not heartless. He was still thinking about his family. Back then, in order to stop the Dark Demon clan, Mo Yuqian had entered the Dark Domain in the middle of the night without telling his family. Who would have thought that he would never return? He had no idea what his family was like now, nor did he know if his old friends were still alive. Brother, don't worry. I'll make sure everything is done properly. In the future, when I'm strong enough, I'll go to the dark domain and kill all the dark creatures. That way, you won't have to guard the endless bone region and can return to the god realm. Knight Sorrow stared into Mo Yoqian's eyes and made a solemn promise. If not for Mo Yoqian's help in the endless bone region, he wouldn't have been able to raise his strength so quickly, and he wouldn't have been able to upgrade the myriad Dao Tome. Now that Mo Yoqian had given him a book to raise his cultivation, he was no different from a master. My family is Langqi Mountain's Mo clan. It's about 1,000,000 miles southwest of Hai Bay City. After getting Knight Sorrow's permission, Mo Yoqian slowly said the name of his family. Hearing this name, Jing Yun's expression changed, but she didn't say anything. Jing Yun, what's wrong? Knight Sorrow immediately asked when he saw Jing Yun's expression. No, nothing. I was just reminded of my family. I'm the only one left in my family. Jing Yun's eyes were filled with sparkling tears. Originally, she still had her brother, Jing Hong, but he had died in Feng Ling's hands in order to protect her. My condolences. The dead are gone. We, the living, need to take the path of the future. Knight Sorrow looked at Jing Yun, Zhu Yunxia, Ho Lai, and Geng Chen, and asked, what do you plan to do after leaving the Endless Bone region? I need to finish some things. When I return, I'll follow Brother Knight Sorrow into battle. Geng Chen's face carried a hint of anticipation. Outside the Endless Bone region, there was someone waiting for him. I don't have anywhere to go. If Brother Knight Sorrow doesn't mind, I can follow you. I only hope that Brother Knight Sorrow can help us kill Feng Ling and avenge boss Jing Hong. Ho Lai had nothing to worry about. He used to follow Jing Hong, but now that Jing Hong had been killed by Feng Ling, he had nowhere to go. I will kill Feng Ling with my own hands and avenge my brother. Then, I will seek justice for my family. A hint of ruthlessness appeared in Jing Yun's eyes. Her cultivation was high to begin with. Now that she had strengthened her body in the Endless Bone region and awakened a very powerful bloodline, she was confident that she could kill Feng Ling and seek justice for her family. It shouldn't be difficult for us to kill Feng Ling, but he might not stay in Hai Bay City. It'll be troublesome to find him there. Knight Sorrow's cultivation foundation was very deep. Now that his power of merit had advanced to the half-step upper divine realm, his strength had increased greatly. He was also confident that he could deal with Feng Ling, but he knew that Feng Ling might not stay in Hai Bay City. If we can't find Feng Ling, I'll kill my way to the Qishui Feng clan and demand an explanation, Jing Yun said faintly. She didn't only need to avenge her brother, but also to seek justice for her family. Feng Ling was a member of the Qishui Feng clan. He could run away, but the clan couldn't. I will accompany Miss Jing Yun until we finish this. At this moment, Zhu Yunxia finally spoke to express her stance. She was full of sympathy for Jing Yun. Don't worry. Your matters are my, Knight Sorrow's, business. Now that you don't have any foundation outside, why don't you follow me and settle down first, then seek revenge? As long as I can help you, I'll definitely do it. However, I've just arrived in the divine realm and don't have any foundation. I hope you don't mind. Knight Sorrow didn't have any property in Hai Bay City, but at least he had a residence that could give them a place to stay. As for what plans Jing Yun and the others had in the future, they could discuss it later. Good, that's for the best. Before the others could speak, Ho Lai took the initiative to reply. He really wanted to follow Yi Shang and make a name for himself. Jing Yun, Geng Chen, and Zhu Yunxia didn't object. They had stayed in the Endless Bone region for too long and needed some time to recover. All right, since it's settled, let's have a good drink with brother. Do you have any more wine? Knight Sorrow's enlightenment wine gourd was already empty, so he asked. He wanted to drink with Mo Yoqian to his heart's content. At this moment, he suddenly thought of the Python King and immediately asked, Brother, how is the Python King after you took him away? He's doing very well. He's currently cultivating in the underground river where you obtained the Genesis essence, and his body's strength is rapidly increasing. Mo Yoqian chuckled. He's about to leave. Do you want to go see him? Knight Sorrow nodded and said, It's fate that we met. After we finish drinking, I'll go ask him if he wants to leave. The Python King was his only subordinate in the Endless Bone region. If he wanted to leave, Night Sorrow didn't mind helping him. To him, leaving the Endless Bone region was very simple, but to many people, it would require countless reincarnations of effort. At this moment, Mo Yuqian continued, Brother Yishang, the cultivation manual that I gave you came from the inheritance of a god king, and it's called the Flawless Divine Technique. If your goal is to break through to the Divine King, you can directly cultivate it. If your goal is higher, you can use the contents of the Flawless Divine Art to create a suitable one for yourself. Thank you for your guidance. After leaving the Endless Bone region, I will research a suitable Flawless Divine Art. Night Sorrow bowed to Mo Yuqian. He wanted to use the Flawless Divine Art to complete the Myriad Tao Tomes Feather God chapter. I have high hopes for you. Let's go, I have some good wine in my collection. I'll bring you guys to try it. Night Sorrow's meaning was very clear. Mo Yuqian could tell that he had great ambitions and immediately revealed a gratified smile. He then brought everyone to a wine cellar on the top floor of the heaven-suppressing bone tower. There were countless types of wine here. They drank for several days before they were satisfied. After drinking, the slightly tipsy Jing Yun walked to Night Sorrow's side and asked, You caused a huge commotion when you challenged the challenge tower, but there are still 6 or 7 floors that you haven't challenged. Now that we're about to leave, do you want to give it a try? Night Sorrow had broken the record for the first 5 floors of the challenge tower, and he still hadn't broken it. Chapter 2466. With Jing Yun's current strength, she should be able to pass the 6th level. However, she was still a little weaker at the 7th level. Until today, Jing Yun could still clearly remember the shock she felt when Night Sorrow broke the records. Today, she wanted to relive it and put a perfect end to her experience in the Endless Bone territory. All right. Leaving 2 levels without breaking the records, I feel like I didn't do a complete job. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He looked at Mo Yuqian and said, Brother, if I pass the 7th level, will it affect you, the heaven-suppressing bone pagoda, or the Endless Bone territory? If you pass the 7th level, the heaven-suppressing bone pagoda will recognize you as its master. If you don't take it away after that, it won't affect the Endless Bone territory. It won't affect me either. Mo Yuqian explained and continued, If you pass the 7th level, the heaven-suppressing bone pagoda will recognize you as its master. This has been the rule since a few reincarnations ago. You really need to make the bone pagoda recognize you as its master. Otherwise, if Feng Ling or Ao Qinggu, who is controlled by the dark demon, comes again, they might break through the 7th level. If the bone pagoda recognizes you as its master, the consequences will be unimaginable. I'm the spirit of the heaven-suppressing bone pagoda, but I can't stop it from recognizing you as its master. But I heard that those who leave the Endless Bone territory will be rejected when they enter the heaven-suppressing bone pagoda again. If they appear in the Endless Bone territory again, will they still be able to challenge the challenge pagoda? Night Sorrow asked. Those rejections in the past were all controlled by me. However, when faced with someone like you who can withstand the lightning of a high god, I can't do anything about it. Mo Yuqian shook his head helplessly. If that's the case, I'll go challenge the challenge pagoda now. After hearing Mo Yuqian's explanation, Night Sorrow nodded and prepared to walk towards the challenge pagoda. Jing Yun, Zhu Yunxia, and the rest were all smiling as they prepared to witness the historical moment of the Endless Bone territory. However, at this moment, an announcement suddenly rang out in the Endless Bone territory. Everyone's expression changed. The 6th level of the challenge pagoda has been successfully challenged. A new record has been set. The record holder, Ao Qinggu, took 19 breaths. Ao Qinggu, whose body had been controlled by the dark demon, had suddenly appeared and forcefully broke the record of the 6th level of the challenge tower. Moreover, she had only used 19 breaths of time. In such a short period of time, it was very likely that she had the strength to break through to the 7th level. If she, who was controlled by the dark demons, were to be recognized by the sky-piercing bone pagoda, the consequences would be unimaginable. There's no time to lose. I'm going to participate in the challenge now. I hope I can pass the 7th level before her. Night Sorrow thought back to what Dark Demon had once said as he charged towards the challenge tower. When he was in the dark abyss, he used the power of virtue to burn and purify all the dark aura left behind by the dark demon. The stone statue of the dark demon had once said, "We will meet again very soon. I hope that you will not disappoint me at that time." Now, it seemed that it was most likely referring to this matter. "Brother Knight Sorrow, I can't do anything about this. It's all up to you now." His old opponent, Dark Devil, actually had a backup plan. This was something that Golden Body God Monarch Mo Yuqian hadn't expected. Currently, he was only an artifact spirit. Moreover, he didn't have any resources or power. He couldn't do anything at all. Jing Yun, Zhu Yunxia, Ho Lai, and Geng Chen's expressions all changed. If Ao Qinggu, who was controlled by the dark demon, recognized the sky-reaching bone pagoda as its master, they would most likely be trapped in the endless bone region forever. "Night Sorrow, you must do your best." Jing Yun watched as Night Sorrow's figure left. Her heart was in her throat. "Brother Night Sorrow, you must succeed. You must succeed. If you succeed, I, Geng Chen, am willing to do anything for you." Geng Chen, who wanted to leave the endless bone region the most, was so nervous that he kept pacing back and forth. "Don't go. You're making me nervous too. Believe in Brother Night Sorrow. He will definitely be fine." Ho Lai stood up and pulled Geng Chen back to stop him from pacing back and forth. Sigh. Zhu Yunxia, whose expression was extremely ugly, sighed deeply when she saw everyone's reaction. Ao Qinggu, who was controlled by the dark demon, took too little time to pass the 6th level. It would be very difficult for Night Sorrow to surpass her and complete the 7th level first. "I want to start the challenge on the 6th level of the challenge tower." After entering the challenge tower, Night Sorrow immediately went to the 6th level to start the challenge. Right now, he couldn't afford to waste a single breath. The challenge on the 6th level begins. The humanoid puppet in charge of the challenge tower immediately helped Night Sorrow to start the challenge. "Come. Let's fight." Before the 9 upper celestial skeletons respawned, Night Sorrow activated the Divine Essence Smoke Beacon and Astral Body. At the same time, he increased his virtuous energy to the maximum and used the 7 stars Violent Alcade without hesitation. After the 9 upper celestial skeletons respawned, he used the Fiery Demon Slayer Spear to unleash the Forbidden 10 Spear Strikes. Boom! 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 The Forbidden 10 Spear Strikes from the Fiery Demon Slayer Spear were imbued with dazzling golden virtuous energy. 9 of the strikes hit a skeleton. However, these skeletons were only heavily injured and fell to the ground. They were not destroyed immediately. The skeletons on this level are so resilient? Without hesitation, Night Sorrow unleashed another 9 strikes. He felt that these skeletons were much more resilient than the dark creatures in the dark dimension. In the dark dimension, he could easily kill an upper celestial dark creature with his full strength. But now, the skeletons on the 6th level could withstand his attack. The challenge on the 6th level of the challenge tower is successful. A new record has been set. The record is set by Night Sorrow in 13 breaths. The skeletons on the 6th level lasted a little longer than expected. This stopped Night Sorrow at 13 breaths. 13 breaths was 6 breaths faster than 19 breaths. This proved that Night Sorrow's AoE skills were stronger than Ao Qingwu's. However, it was obvious that she had reached the 7th level earlier than him. She had reached the 7th level about 20 breaths ago. This was a huge advantage. This was because Night Sorrow had spent 6 to 7 breaths on his way to the Tower of Challenge. Begin the challenge on the 7th level of the Tower of Challenge. The skeletons on the 7th level were definitely more difficult to deal with than those on the 6th level. Ao Qinggu did not end the battle in 20 breaths. Night Sorrow was racing against time. After setting the record on the 6th level, he did not even have time to catch his breath before he started the challenge on the 7th level. Hurry up and respawn. The process of waiting for the skeletons to respawn on the 7th level was torture for him. Without a doubt, if Ao Qinggu, who was controlled by the Dark Demon, gained control of the sky-reaching bone tower, Night Sorrow would never be able to leave the endless bone region. The Dark Demon would use the bone tower to remove the suppression on the dark dimension. Under such circumstances, the various dark creatures in the dark dimension would probably control all the practitioners in High Bay City in a short period of time. Night Moon Island was not far from High Bay City. Hence, all the Night Moon people would not be able to escape the clutches of the dark creatures. Chapter 2467. At this moment, Even if Yi Shang's mental fortitude was extremely good and his heart was as firm as 10,000 years old cold steel, he still couldn't calm down. He could hear the announcement that Ao Qinggu had passed the 7th level of the heaven-reaching bone pagoda at any moment. Once the announcement was made, tragedy would befall him. If that happened, the consequences would be unimaginable. The skeletons on the 7th level are obviously different from the ones before. There are no passageways on the 7th level. After the 9 skeletons on the 7th level were refreshed, Knight Sorrow realized that they were all wearing dark red armor. The bone swords in their hands were also of a higher grade. They were very powerful. Moreover, there were no passageways on this level. There was no way he could make use of the passageways. In other words, he had to rely on his strength to defeat these skeletons. Luckily, these skeletons are strong enough. That's why Ao Qinggu, who is controlled by the Dark Demon, did not pass the level in a short time. Seeing that the 9 high god skeletons on the 7th floor were strong enough, Knight Sorrow's heart calmed down a bit. He knew that although the person controlling Ao Qingwu's body was the Dark Demon, her strength would not increase by leaps and bounds in such a short time. This time, other than the state that he had just activated, Knight Sorrow dripped a drop of blood to activate the Green Phoenix armor. With that, Knight Sorrow raised all the states that he could activate to the best state. Inferno Demon subduing. Knight Sorrow did not want to waste any time. He jumped up without hesitation and used the Inferno Demon subduing with a wide area attack. This move was exactly the same as the one he used in the Realm of Darkness. The red flames and the golden power of virtue intertwined and engulfed the 9 skeletons. Roar! Being burned by the red flames and the golden power of virtue, the skeletons howled in agony. However, none of them fell. They braved the Inferno Demon subduing and attacked Knight Sorrow together. What a powerful attack! This looks like a combination attack. Facing the 9 bone swords of the 9 skeletons, Knight Sorrow felt like he was facing 900 or even 9,000 swords at the same time. These skeletons actually knew how to attack together. The fine saber lights interweaved into a net, making it impossible for Knight Sorrow to dodge. He could only use the strength of his body to block the cold saber lights. Boom! 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 The body of the roaring Inferno Demon subduing spear clashed with the fine blade lights, producing a deafening explosion. It was as if the void had been shattered. The momentum was extremely vast. After these skeletons work together, the strength they can unleash should not be inferior to an attack from an ordinary divine lord. The 9 guardian skeletons gave Knight Sorrow immense pressure. At this moment, he understood that the difficulty of the 7th level of the Challenge Pagoda was definitely at the divine lord level. Facing such a joint attack, if I want to win, I have to find the pattern. In the past, Knight Sorrow, his friends from the God-slaying team, and his brothers from the First Army had all practiced the combination attack. He knew that in a situation where he was not strong enough to crush the skeletons, he could only patiently search for their weakness and prioritize killing one of the skeletons. At this moment, the backlash of the 7-star Violent Alcade came. He immediately swallowed 2 divine soul recovery elixirs to restore his condition to its peak. Then, he observed the skeletons and their saber trajectories while resisting. Not simple. This combination attack is not simple. In the process of careful observation, Knight Sorrow discovered that this combined attack technique wasn't static. It had a total of 81 different trajectories. This seems to be a combination of 9 palaces and 9 stars. After patiently observing and pondering, Knight Sorrow discovered that the 9 skeletons and 9 bone swords seemed to represent 9 palaces and 9 stars. In the process of attacking, 9 palaces and 9 stars represented the positions of the skeletons and the 9 bone swords respectively. There was a total of 81 combinations. The symbol of 9 palaces and 9 stars was constantly changing on the 9 skeletons and 9 bone swords. If Knight Sorrow had not seen this symbol on the 4th and 5th levels, he would definitely not have noticed it. It seems that everything is predestined. Ao Qinggu, who is controlled by the Dark Demon, definitely did not pay attention to these details. Therefore, I will definitely win this competition. After discovering the combination attack pattern of the 9 skeletons, it was not difficult for Knight Sorrow to avoid it. Using his agile body, he weaved through the 9 guarding skeletons and quickly broke their combination attack. Then, he defeated them one by one and successfully destroyed the 9 guarding skeletons. At this moment, there was no announcement from the other side. With a loud bang, the last skeleton was completely destroyed. Knight Sorrow immediately heaved a sigh of relief. He thought to himself, "Fortunately, I did not fail my mission. I passed the 7th level before Ao Qinggu, who is controlled by the Dark Demon." What's going on? After waiting for a long time, Knight Sorrow still did not hear the announcement of successfully passing the level. He could not help feeling puzzled, secretly wondering if there was still some mystery in this. Right then, the 7th level of the challenge tower gave a response. The skeletons and bones that were originally scattered on the ground actually gathered together in an instant, forming a brand new giant skeleton. This skeleton's strength was clearly at the Divine Lord realm. Could it be that the 7th level of the challenge tower ultimately has to defeat this Divine Lord realm skeleton? I'm afraid I'm not its match. Facing a Divine Lord realm skeleton, Knight Sorrow, who was only at the Feather God realm, was clear that he was not its match. However, he did not admit defeat. Instead he shouted, "Even if I'm not your match, I still want to fight around." Then, he took out the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear from his back and attacked the giant skeleton that was more than a dozen people tall. The Inferno Demon vanquishing spear's grade was not low, but using it to attack a Divine Lord realm skeleton, it was completely inadequate. To win, he could only choose the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear that he could not unleash its full strength currently. Whoosh! Facing Knight Sorrow's attack with the soul-splitting evil vanquishing spear, the giant Divine Lord realm skeleton did not use its bone saber. Instead, it spat out a white bone fire from its mouth. This Divine Lord realm bone fire was extremely powerful. It immediately sent Knight Sorrow flying and burned his entire body. The Azure Phoenix battle armor quickly turned to ashes under the bone fire's burning. Following that, Knight Sorrow's body also began to crack under the bone fire's burning, revealing countless terrifying cracks. Not good. This white bone fire is evil and powerful. Under the white bone fire's burning, Knight Sorrow's crystallized flesh was quickly burned away, revealing the many bones that were originally wrapped in it. What should I do now? This bone fire is too difficult to resist. Do I have to give up on the challenge? No, I can't. I definitely can't give up. Knight Sorrow anxiously asked himself as he was burned to a skeleton by the white bone fire in an instant. In such a predicament, he could only choose to use the golden power of virtue to protect his body to prevent himself from being instantly turned to ashes. The thought of giving up flashed through his mind. He continued to use all the bones in his body to resist the white bone fire. Chapter 2468. The feeling of the white bone fire burning his bones was even more painful than climbing a mountain of blades or plunging into a pot of boiling oil. Although Knight Sorrow had been through a lot and had suffered countless injuries, this was the first time he had experienced such torment. And this physical pain was quickly transferred to his soul. This kind of Divine Lord level bone fire could actually burn his soul. Knight Sorrow immediately understood what it meant to have one's soul on the brink of being torn apart. At this point, he no longer had the ability to speak even if he wanted to quit. However, after persevering in this despair for a while, Knight Sorrow suddenly discovered that his burned bones had not been reduced to ashes. Instead, they had become even stronger. The tip of his left pinky had even begun to turn golden. Could this be a special body tempering technique? He was still enduring inhumane pain, but after Knight Sorrow discovered the changes in his bones, his anxious emotions immediately calmed down. At this point, he was certain that the burning of the bone fire was similar to the body tempering of lightning. They could both increase the strength of one's body. However, lightning tempered one's body, while bone fire directly strengthened one's bones and soul. This was even rarer. It looks like this is my reward for passing the 7th level. I have to persevere. With this in mind, Knight Sorrow, who was about to be tortured to the brink of despair, once again felt an indomitable fighting spirit rise in his heart. And the strength of the bone fire was still constantly increasing. From the low-level Divine Lord level to the middle-level Divine Lord level, then to the high-level Divine Lord level, finally stopping at the invincible Divine Lord level. Knight Sorrow felt that his soul was about to be incinerated. The pain brought about by the invincible Divine Lord level bone fire was not something that could be withstood by willpower. Wang! However, at this moment, Knight Sorrow's soul trembled. Just as it was about to collapse, his soul's strength was directly promoted to the high-level Divine Feather level. As a result, He endured the burning of the bone fire for a while longer. It was the burning of the invincible divine lord-level bone fire that caused Knight Sorrow's bones to turn completely golden. Is this called a golden body? Knight Sorrow, who had discovered the changes in his bones, thought to himself. Achieving a golden body in the bone fire will be another tragedy for you. However, right at that moment, the skeleton that had spat out the bone flames spoke with a strange tone before withdrawing the bone flames. From his tone, it was clear that he wasn't congratulating him, but rather pitying him. Are you the creator of the sky-reaching bone tower? From what you're saying, it's not a good thing that I've achieved the golden body. Knight Sorrow, who was slowly regaining his ability to think, asked doubtfully. His voice sounded a little strange when he spoke in his skeleton form. Soon after, his flesh and blood began to heal. In the end, even the high god-level Azure Phoenix battle armor was restored to its original state. It was as if nothing had happened, but Knight Sorrow knew that his bones and soul had been strengthened to a certain extent. Moreover, the degree of improvement was not inferior to the changes brought about by the Genesis essence. I am the first master of the sky-piercing bone pagoda, as well as its first artifact spirit. However, he was not the one who created the bone pagoda. Without the Divine King's strength and astonishing talent, it would be impossible to create a divine artifact like the sky-piercing bone pagoda. After Knight Sorrow spoke, the tall skeleton's figure became similar to his, and at the same time, its flesh and blood recovered. It was a middle-aged man with a long face. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He looked very valiant, but there was a trace of hostility between his brows. There was a trace of pity in his gaze as he looked at Knight Sorrow, and he kept shaking his head. Are you also the artifact spirit of the bone pagoda? What's going on? Knight Sorrow asked in confusion. After all, Wuxia was the artifact spirit of the sky-piercing bone pagoda. In addition, the other party's regretful expression made him feel very strange. After asking this question, Knight Sorrow didn't wait for the middle-aged man to reply before asking another question. Is there some inside story about the sky-piercing bone pagoda? AI. The middle-aged man sighed and said emotionally, the sky-piercing bone pagoda is definitely a supreme treasure for ordinary cultivators to raise their level of body refinement. However, there was a huge curse on every single one of its owners. Every cultivator that it recognizes as its master will eventually become its artifact spirit for various reasons. Haha, Golden Body Divine Lord? That's a scam. His name was Yuanshan. Countless reincarnations ago, he became the master of the sky-piercing bone pagoda. However, after a great battle, his body exploded and he had no choice but to become the artifact spirit of the bone pagoda. Senior, what's going on? Can you explain in detail? Yi Shang was confused by the other party's words. He didn't really understand. What I mean is that every master of the bone pagoda will become a golden body divine lord. However, after becoming a golden body divine lord, their bodies will be destroyed for various reasons, and they will eventually become an artifact spirit. I was the first. Wuxia, who took good care of you, was the 8th. If you make the bone pagoda recognize you as its master, you will be the 9th. What awaits you will also be endless tragedy. Yuanshan continued with a face full of unwillingness. After he became the artifact spirit of the sky-piercing bone pagoda, he witnessed the tragedies of other cultivators. Hearing this, the doubts in Knight Sorrow's heart deepened. After thinking for a moment he asked, Senior, then, other than you and Brother Mo, where are the other masters of the bone pagoda now? Without a doubt, Knight Sorrow wanted to make the sky-piercing bone pagoda recognize him as its master. However, it seemed that there were some problems with this. He had to understand it clearly from the other party. The others are also the final guardians of the 7th floor. However, they are not in the same plane as me. If someone else succeeds, it should be one of them who appears. After saying this, the first artifact spirit of the sky-piercing bone pagoda, Yuanshan, reminded Knight Sorrow, I suspect that the existence of this sky-piercing bone pagoda is a conspiracy. The Divine King, who refined it, is very likely that he has some ulterior motives. During the process of breaking through, you should have also discovered that this ruler likes the number 9 very much. The 9 stars and 9 palaces are the same. If you become the 9th master of the bone pagoda, you might encounter great terror. It seems that this really is a bit strange. Could it be that making the Bone Pagoda recognize me as its master will affect my karmic luck? Knight Sorrow had the power of good karma and could determine whether the other party was telling the truth or not. When he heard Xing Yuanshan's words, he couldn't help but feel a chill run down the back of his head. He thought to himself, this matter is really a little strange, and it is very unusual. The bodies of 8 successive masters had all collapsed, and in the end, they had no choice but to become the artifact spirit of the Bone Pagoda. It would be too far-fetched to say that this was a coincidence. Senior, you all passed the 7th floor, so the Bone Pagoda recognized you as its master? Then why aren't there any records of you in the Bone Pagoda? Knight Sorrow continued to be puzzled. There's nothing strange about this. Every time the sky-piercing Bone Pagoda gives birth to a new master, the previous records are erased. As if seeing Knight Sorrow's doubts, Xing Yuanshan shook his head. All right, I keep feeling that everything is related to karma. I wanted to do something from the details. Chapter 2469. What's wrong? Forget it, since I can't figure it out, I won't think about it. I'll just deal with whatever comes my way. Knight Sorrow seemed to have a strange feeling in his heart, but he could not grasp it no matter how hard he tried, so he did not think too much about it. After all, given the current situation, he had to make the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda recognize him as its master for the safety of High Bay City. He could not leave any chance for others. However, Knight Sorrow felt that he should ask about the origin of the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda so that he could follow the clues and find out the source of some doubts in the future. Hence, he asked, Senior, where did you find this Bone Pagoda and make it recognize you as its master? It was in this endless bone region. Back then, it was also because of a huge battle. Xing Yuanshan did not hide anything and told him everything. His experience was very similar to Mo Youqian's. Originally, Xing Yuanshan was very happy to make a rare divine weapon like the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda recognize him as its master. However, as time passed, he realized that something was wrong. It seemed that making the Bone Pagoda recognize him as its master would cause him to encounter an inescapable curse. Behind him, there were many talented cultivators who met with calamities one after another. Now, it seemed that it was Knight Sorrow's turn. He also had a reason to make the Bone Pagoda recognize him as its master. It seemed that this was unavoidable. It seems like reincarnation after reincarnation. Every master of the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda was an expert with a mission. I wonder what this foretells. The entire matter was complicated and confusing, but Yi Shang knew that it was very likely that it was just as Xing Yuanshan had said. There was some sort of conspiracy involved. After that, under Xing Yuanshan's confirmation, Knight Sorrow chose to make the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda recognize him as its new master. After making the Bone Pagoda recognize him as its master, Ao Qingwu's crisis was resolved. However, after becoming the new master of the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda, Knight Sorrow did not sense Ao Qingwu's aura in the Bone Pagoda. Could it be that she left so quickly? No, that's not right. It's very likely that the Bone Pagoda itself is behind this. After thinking carefully, Knight Sorrow realized that something was wrong. This matter was strange. Whether or not Ao Qingwu could break through to the 7th level, whether she was dead or alive, it was impossible for her aura to disappear completely in the Bone Pagoda in such a short time. Knight Sorrow judged that Ao Qingwu most likely did not appear in the Bone Pagoda and did not break through to the 6th level. All of this was a plot directed and acted out by the sky-reaching Bone Pagoda. The goal was to trick him into becoming the new master of the Bone Pagoda. It was very likely that the creator of the Bone Pagoda had left behind some soul power in the Bone Pagoda and could still control it. It was just that no one could find him. It doesn't matter who you are or what you're after. After thinking it through, Knight Sorrow didn't regret his decision. He looked up at the Bone Pagoda and found Mo Chanqian. They went to visit the Python King together. At this time, the Python King's strength was constantly increasing. Knowing that Yi Shang was leaving, he wanted to leave with him, but he was unwilling to lose this opportunity to become stronger. In the end, under Knight Sorrow's persuasion, the Python King chose to stay in the Endless Bone Realm. Knight Sorrow was very grateful for this. After that, Yi Shang bid farewell to Mo Youqian and brought Jing Yun, Ho Lai, Zhu Yunxia, and Geng Chen to the sky-piercing bone tower and the resources he had obtained from exploring the Endless Bone region. They were all brought back to the God realm. Outside the Endless Bone Pagoda, The 5 of them appeared outside High Bay City. When they reappeared in the divine world, the thick aura of heaven and earth immediately rolled over. The complete laws of heaven and earth made everyone feel very comfortable. Their cultivation instantly recovered to before they entered the Endless Bone Pagoda. I'll collect the resources first. We'll divide them equally after we settle down. The resources brought out from the Endless Bone Pagoda were not little. Night Sorrow immediately used the Clear Sky Pagoda to collect everything. No one objected to this. They were enjoying the taste of the divine world and the joy of having their God Yuan Qi and divine soul recovered. They could explore thousands of miles with just a slight use of their God Yuan Qi. It was a feeling they had not felt in a long time. In the Endless Bone Pagoda, they were like primitive people who only knew how to fight with their bodies. My cultivation is really awkward. Night Sorrow couldn't help but laugh when he felt the changes in his body. At the moment, his cultivation level was only at the lower level of the Divine Feather Realm. His body was at the middle level of the Divine Feather Realm, and the strength of his soul was at the upper level of the Divine Feather Realm. His power of merit was half a step into the Divine Feather Realm. All of these improvements were basically completed in the Endless Bone Realm. Speaking of which, he had really benefited a lot in the Bone Realm. It could be said that he had unintentionally taken advantage of the situation. His cultivation was too low in comparison. Night Sorrow planned to settle everything and enter the Clear Sky Pagoda to study the flawless divine art that Mo Yuqian had given him. He wanted to learn from it and perfect the myriad Taoist treasured tome. Brother Night Sorrow, are you really at the basic divine feather god realm? Why can't I see through it? At this moment, Ho Lai, who was standing at the side, looked at the 4 people around him. He discovered that Zhu Yunxia and Geng Chen's cultivation were the same as his, at the upper divine realm. He wasn't surprised at all. What made Ho Lai curious was that he couldn't see through Jing Yun and Night Sorrow's cultivation. Ho Lai was more or less aware of Jing Yun's cultivation, so he didn't ask much. He was puzzled as to why he couldn't see through Night Sorrow's cultivation. Haha, I have the virtue energy protecting me. If I didn't do it willingly, only a few people in the realm of the gods can see through my cultivation. As for my cultivation age and other things, no one can calculate them. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything from his friends. He told them about the benefits of cultivating the virtue energy. Ho Lai, Zhu Yunxia, and Geng Chen all revealed envious expressions. However, it was too late for them to cultivate the virtue energy now. Moreover, their temperament wasn't enough. They didn't have the chance to cultivate to Night Sorrow's level, so they didn't think too much about it. Haha, all of you are superior gods, and your body refinement realms aren't low either. I'm sure you will have good prospects in the future. There's no need to be envious of me. Night Sorrow smiled and comforted them when he saw their envious expressions. On the surface, it seemed that Ho Lai and the other 2 were having a better time in the realm of the gods. After saying that, Night Sorrow looked at Jing Yun and asked curiously, Jing Yun, what's your cultivation? I can't see through it. Night Sorrow was surprised by Jing Yun's cultivation because he couldn't see through it at all. Before entering the Endless Bone territory, I was a half-step monarch god. Now, I think I'm an invincible superior god. I have the confidence to enter the top 100 of the superior god list. Jing Yun smiled and released her aura slightly. Immediately, a vast god origin energy surrounded Night Sorrow and gave him a lot of pressure. In the Endless Bone territory, Jing Yun not only raised her body to the level of a superior god, but her bloodline had also undergone 2 awakenings. Her talent and strength were much stronger than before she entered the Endless Bone territory. Now, her strength was much stronger than when she was in the Endless Bone territory. Presumably, when the time came, she would break through to the monarch god realm. You're so strong. The current rulers of High Bay City are the 5 superior gods. I don't think any of them can defeat you. Hearing Jing Yun's words, Night Sorrow was surprised. At the same time, he felt that High Bay City was so weak that it made one's hair stand on end. After all, it had existed for so many reincarnations. Even if it took time, some superior gods and monarchs would appear. Now, it was ruled by 5 superior gods. This was strange, really strange. Chapter 2470. What? High Bay City is so weak now? Was High Bay City massacred in the past few reincarnations? When Night Sorrow finished speaking, Jing Yun, Ho Lai, and the others all looked at him in surprise. In their era, only a few reincarnations ago, although High Bay City wasn't strong and didn't have many divine lords, there were many high gods. Now there were only 5 high gods. This was too pitiful. They suspected that High Bay City had been massacred. If not, it was impossible for such a situation to occur. There had to be a story behind this. I'm not too sure about this. Let's wait until we settle down and ask around. Night Sorrow was a rookie who had just arrived in the Divine Realm. He didn't know much about High Bay City. After thinking for a while he asked, I've heard of the Feather God list, the High God list, and the Divine Lord list, but I haven't studied them in detail. Are these lists just for show, or do they have a specific purpose? Although Yi Shang had read many books, he still wasn't clear about the details of these matters. Jing Yun knew that Night Sorrow hadn't experienced much in the Divine Realm. She patiently explained in a gentle voice, as long as you enter the top 100 of the Feather God list, the High God list, or the Divine Lord list, you will be called the Invincible Feather God, High God, or Divine Lord. You will also receive the attention of various large factions. You will even receive the favor of the Divine King or the Creator. If the Divine King or the Creator takes a fancy to you, you will be taken care of. Your future will be limitless. So it's to receive the attention of the Divine King or the Creator. There are no practical rewards. Hearing Jing Yun's explanation, Night Sorrow was a little disappointed. He didn't want to join any faction. He just wanted to get all kinds of resources as soon as possible. These lists weren't very attractive. It was like flattering the Divine King or the Creator. That wasn't his style. Immediately after, while entering the city, Night Sorrow asked, I heard that the Divine Realm is divided into regions by the 7 creators. If others want to establish their own factions, will they be attacked by the creators? Night Sorrow had his own ideas about the future. He didn't want to join any faction and be bound by rules. Now that he had obtained a lot of resources and was much stronger, he felt that he could make a difference in High Bay City. Haha, Brother Night Sorrow, you worry too much. There were plenty of people in the God world who had established their own organizations, but there were only a few sovereigns. Generally speaking, hegemons only care about other hegemons and a few extremely powerful Divine King. Ho Lai laughed as he explained. He felt that Night Sorrow was overthinking things. However, Night Sorrow continued to ask seriously, basically, anyone can establish a force. Generally, only those who threaten certain forces or individuals will be targeted. Is that right? That must be the case. However, I feel that if you don't have full confidence, even if you want to establish your own force, it's best not to establish a base. The territory of the God realm was not something that an average person could guard. If you're not careful, you'll be annihilated. Ho Lai knew what Night Sorrow was thinking and continued to speak. All right, I understand. Actually, I have quite a few clansmen, and I really want to find a place for them to cultivate in peace, and also a place for them to gain experience. Right now, they're living on a desolate island, isolated from the rest of the world. This isn't good. Night Sorrow told them about his clansmen, but it was hard to know what was in a person's heart. He didn't bring Jing Yun and the others to Night Moon Island. After entering the city, he and the others chatted and laughed as they rushed to the mansion gifted by Styx. During this process, Ho Lai and the others learned about the existence of Shen Jizi and Nyo Patian. They also learned that Night Sorrow didn't have many talents by his side. This made them feel good. If Night Sorrow had many trusted subordinates, it wouldn't be easy for them to survive. Now it seemed that Ho Lai, Zhu Yunxia, and Geng Chen could all become core members. As for Jing Yun, her goal was to take revenge. In the past, her enemy's strength had been at the Divine Lord realm or above. If nothing unexpected happened, he would be even stronger now. She was prepared to stay with Night Sorrow and the others for a period of time and then find a powerful sect to increase her strength. Once she was strong enough, she would take revenge. Brother Shen Jizi and Brother Patian are in the mansion. They didn't go to the Great Ocean and Sky Bazaar. They flew to Nanhuai Alley. Night Sorrow scanned the area with his godly soul and found that Shen Jizi and Nyo Patian were cultivating in the mansion. That's my mansion. An exalted god gave it to me. It's not very big, but it's very elegant. Let's stay here for the time being. When they were a few hundred li away from his mansion, Night Sorrow pointed in the direction of his mansion. Sigh. Nanhuai Alley is still the same. It's a pity that the people have changed. The Jing clan's businesses have probably become someone else's. After a few reincarnations, Jing Yun returned to Nanhuai Alley and sighed. We have a lot of resources. Let's exchange them for divine crystals in a few days and buy back the Jing clan's businesses. When he saw that Jing Yun was sad, Night Sorrow comforted her and shouted, Brother Xianjizi, Brother Patian, I brought some friends back. Captain, it's really you. When they heard Night Sorrow's voice, Xianjizi and Nyo Patian stopped cultivating and flew out of the pavilion. After Night Sorrow had destroyed the Jubao pavilion, he had been taken to the enforcement team and disappeared. The two of them had been very worried. Now, they regarded Night Sorrow as their backbone. Hee hee. How have you been, my two brothers? When he saw the two familiar faces, Night Sorrow sighed. The two of them had spent a few months in the divine world, but he had spent a few thousand years in the endless bone region. After greeting the two of them, Night Sorrow pointed at them and introduced them. These two are Xianjizi and Nyo Patian. They're my brothers. After that, he introduced Jing Yun and the others to Xianjizi and Nyo Patian. Captain, how strong is this Miss Jing Yun? After Yi Shang finished his introduction and everyone greeted each other, Xianjizi asked curiously. Xianjizi could see through everyone's cultivation except for Jing Yun, who was like a hazy fog. Hee hee, she's a high god. But we're all friends, so there's no need to worry about it. Night Sorrow did not treat Jing Yun as an outsider and said with a smile. Night Sorrow is right. You two don't have to be so reserved. Jing Yun smiled politely. Miss Jing Yun is really easygoing. The other high gods in High Bay City are all invincible existences. Commoners like us can't even get in touch with them. Even if we do, we won't be treated well. Xianjizi sincerely praised Jing Yun. He felt that she had the demeanor of a great person. He had once divined for the city lord, Shangguan Yun, but Shangguan Yun had treated him with disdain. Jing Yun's strength was undoubtedly one of the top in High Bay City. She was as easygoing as a girl next door, giving people a very amiable feeling. After hearing that Jing Yun was a high god, Nyo Potion's eyes lit up and he said, Miss Jing Yun is a high god. Then we might be able to get out of this crisis. Crisis? What crisis? Night Sorrow immediately asked after hearing Nyo Potion's words. Nyo Patian was not a scheming person. Night Sorrow immediately understood that the two of them were in trouble, and it was related to the high gods. Chapter 2471. Yi Shang's tone was very heavy. The joyous atmosphere of the reunion in the residence was instantly diluted by the heavy atmosphere. Everyone's eyes were focused on Nyo Potion's chubby face. Sigh. Nyo Patian sighed and said with a sad face. After the captain left, those people from Jubao Pavilion would beat me and the old faker on the street whenever they saw us. They tortured us and almost destroyed our cultivation. Now we don't even dare to leave the mansion. In the past year, Xianjizi and Nyo Patian had been bullied. They didn't kill them because they wanted to torture them for a long time. People from Jubao Pavilion? Looks like they found out about our relationship. I'm the one who got you into trouble. I'll get back at them for you. But every time you were beaten on the street, the law enforcement team just stood by and did nothing? I remember that the law enforcement captain in this area is called Murong Bai. Is it because the leader of Jubao Pavilion has broken through to the great god level and they don't dare to interfere? Night Sorrow asked coldly. Last time when he made a scene in Jubao Pavilion, the law enforcement team held a grudge against Xianjizi and Nyo Patian. There was a reason for that. But the law enforcement team was responsible for the safety of High Bay City. If they didn't follow the rules, Night Sorrow would be very disappointed. He had a good impression of Murong Bai and Zhuo Wei among the 5 law enforcement captains. Captain, here's the thing. The leader of Jubao Pavilion, Feng Xiaoyun, has indeed broken through to the great god level. The law enforcement captain didn't dare to control the people of Jubao Pavilion because of him. But now the law enforcement captains have changed. Nyo Patian took a breath and continued. I heard that the previous captains, Murong Bai and Zhuo Wei, were taken away by the higher-ups because of their outstanding talents. The higher-ups? What higher-ups? Night Sorrow asked. Haibei City is located in the Heartless Dominion, which is the territory of the Heartless Divine King. He has many divine emperors under him and has many cities under his control. The two captains, Murongbai and Zhuowei, were taken away by the forces under the divine emperors. Niu Patian explained. Speaking of the Wuxia Divine King, a look of worship appeared on his face. As long as a talented cultivator appears in Haibei City, they will be taken away. I heard that this is the intention of the Divine King. Xian Jizi also heard about this matter. From the looks of it, the Divine King Wuxia is still taking care of Haibei City? Hearing the name Wuxia Divine King, Knight Sorrow was disgusted. He immediately thought of Mo Yuqian and the things that happened in the past. If it weren't for the many resources provided by the three invincible divine lords, how could he have become the Divine King? I don't think that's necessarily the case. After the Wuxia Divine King left Haibei City, he never returned. If he really has feelings for the city, he probably won't return even once every few epochs, right? Xian Jizi deduced. He felt that things might not be so simple. Maybe he's so powerful that we didn't even know when he came back. Niu Patian continued to say with admiration. After all, the other party was a big shot from Haibei City. He was an extremely famous existence in the entire God Realm. The strongest experts in the God Realm were undoubtedly the 7 rulers. Apart from the few of them who had absolute fame, the rest were all divine kings. Wuxia was able to become the divine king in a barren place like Haibei City and obtain the favor of the Dark Moon ruler. This wasn't simple at all. He was close to standing at the peak of the God Realm. Whether or not he has feelings for Haibei City, perhaps we can only see it when the city is in a life-and-death situation. Knight Sorrow said based on his own judgment. He had a natural dislike for the Wuxia Divine King. However, he didn't say anything in detail, afraid that it would hurt Niu Patian. After saying this, he looked at Jing Yun and the others and said, I can deal with this matter myself. You all rest in the mansion first and get used to the pace of cultivation in the God Realm. After I deal with this matter, I'll refine suitable divine artifacts and defensive treasures for everyone. The resources we obtained in the Bone Realm should be enough to support our consumption. After this, we'll discuss the matter of establishing a force. Brother Knight Sorrow, you're treating us like outsiders. We're brothers who have gone through life and death together. Now that we've encountered this kind of situation, how can we stand by and let you take the risk yourself? Ho Lai was the first to stand up and express his displeasure after hearing Knight Sorrow's words. That's right, Knight Sorrow, aren't you treating us like outsiders? Jing Yun also said angrily, I didn't have the ability to help you in the Dark Realm and couldn't accompany you to the end. That's fine. But now, I can definitely help you with this matter. How can you still say that? Since the two of them had already spoken, Zhu Yunxia and Geng Chen didn't say anything. However, they also looked at Knight Sorrow with puzzled gazes. Haha, I'm not being polite. It's just that there aren't many experts in Haibei City right now. No one can threaten my safety. Knight Sorrow smiled confidently and explained, in addition, I need to go to the Zhenyuan cave to look for opportunities in the near future. I can't display too much strength, otherwise the other party might not give me the opportunity to enter. I will deal with this matter and control it well. Moreover, with your strength and talent, Jing Yun, as long as you make a move, you will definitely be chosen by the people of the Wuxia Divine King. I don't think it's a good thing for you to be taken away by them. This matter is a bit troublesome. Regarding Knight Sorrow and Jing Yun, the Wuxia Divine King's reputation wasn't good. Jing Yun naturally didn't want to be taken away by his people. She wanted to find a suitable sect to join and then improve her strength step by step, relying on her own strength to take revenge with her own hands. After thinking for a while, Jing Yun suddenly asked doubtfully, then what if you display too much strength and are chosen? I will control it well. I shouldn't be chosen by anyone. However, if I'm chosen by his people, I might go and see what's going on. Of course, the premise of all this is that I have to solve the crisis of my family. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, he looked at everyone and said, next, I will go to the Jubao Pavilion. When I come back, I might bring some surprises for everyone. Master Knight Sorrow, hearing that you have returned, Situ Lai specially came to see you. Can you let me into the mansion for a chat? However, at this moment, a voice suddenly came from outside the mansion. This voice came from Situ Lai. Hearing his voice, Knight Sorrow was a bit unhappy. He thought, Mingi's people are watching me so closely. I haven't even sat down yet and they already came looking for me. When I was in trouble, you should also have people watching me. Why didn't I see you help? On one hand, he didn't have a good impression of Mingi and his people. However, Knight Sorrow definitely had to go to the Zhenyuan cave. He looked at Xian Jizi and said, Brother, go to the Drunken Immortal restaurant and buy some good wine and delicacies to entertain our friends. I will go and deal with this matter first. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.